do. All I ever wanted was to make it through. Tell me, how about you? How about you? So where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go from You say you love me, say you're thinking of me, but you're just lonely. Tell me I'm special, but to you I'm anybody. 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 Anybody. But to you I'm anybody. But to you I'm anybody. But to you I'm anybody. Say you love me. Say you're thinking of me, but you're just lonely. Tell me I'm special, but to you I'm anybody. 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 Anybody. But to you I'm anybody. But to you I'm anybody. But to you I'm anybody. Anybody. But to you. But to you. To you I'm anybody, to you I'm anybody, to you I'm anybody, anybody, to you I'm anybody, to you I'm anybody, to you I'm anybody, anybody, to you, to you, to you. Tell me what can I do now? 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 Sometimes I let my guard down. Tell me what can I do now?
No, they're not. Super with the first and only fans rooting on them this round of the
Everyone, if you hate snakes, then this snake will end it here for you. Double kill points from Kyrie on the back of this fight. Cancel the fight before we can see you.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the University Esports. I am Black Bloxer. I'm once again joined by wonderful Ashy here, and we've got Bath versus Southampton for you guys today. How you doing, Ashy? You excited for this one?
I'm doing alright. I'm very, very excited for this one. I'm looking forward to watching Southampton play again, especially. I've not seen Bath play myself personally, but I know they've got a couple of finalists from last year, so I'm excited to see how they can, hold up against Southampton.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a really great series last time around, Southampton versus Sheffield. Southampton came on top in I'd say a pretty dominant fashion. They had a really good set of series. There was some Smolder mid lane. They overcome a Smolder as well. They didn't lose to it. So, you know, there was some real Smolder diffs going on in that series. It was absolutely awesome to watch. Like I said, we haven't actually followed Bath yet so far, but if you've been watching University Esports for a while, you will be familiar with a lot of these guys. They did play in our finals last time around. Got beaten by Exeter, unfortunately, but they did put in their, what was it, player info sheet. No Exeter means that Bath wins, so they're feeling confident.
Yeah, I think they have the right to feel confident, you know, getting to the finals last year. They're also, you know, a team of friends, so they're going to have that sort of like glue to sort of like hold them together as well. So I think we're definitely going to be looking at a tough game here for Southampton, but also for Bath as well. We've got a lot of really strong players on Southampton, as we saw last week. You know, we can't go without mentioning Syracuse, a sort of like star player last week. That really dominant game on the Swain, but then the Smolder as well.
Absolutely, and I mean, when we take a look at how these teams have gotten to this point, it's just been a pretty easy road, I gotta be honest, for both of these teams. You can see that Bath, the Chocolate's Children, have managed to beat out UEA 1-0, then they 2-0 versus Essex, and now they're in this upper bracket semi-final right here. Then if you take a look at what it was that Southampton have done, pretty much the same sort of thing, taking down Pollination Nation, then as we watched last time around, to beat out Sheffield's lads on tour, and now they've gotten to this point as well. We've got that lower bracket semi-final going on as well at the same time as our matches today. It will be lads on tour versus Essex Excaliburs. The winner of this one will face up against the losers of our match here today. And to be honest, with the caliber of the teams that we've got in our upper bracket match today, I could see this being the finals. No matter who wins, loses, they could definitely bring out a win versus lads on tour or Essex Excaliburs to get themselves a bit of a spicy rematch for the actual finals. So both of these teams, they've done really well to get so far.
Absolutely. I think, you know, obviously we've got both teams getting a 2-0 last week, so I wonder what we're going to see this week. I wonder if we're going to see a 2-0, or we're going to see, you know, we're going to go to game 3 this week. It would be pretty nice to go to game 3, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It would be great to get some just proper spicy matchups. And I mean, we've been talking about these players, so it's probably worth having a look at who exactly we have got on both of these rosters. So over for Bath, you've got Kinderperson, Maru, Akiyama, G-Trex, and Lord Who. This is the roster that we haven't seen before, but if you did watch last time, as we were saying, you will be aware of both Maru and Akiyama. Both of them played in that final versus Exeter, and despite the fact they lost it, were two really standout members, so good to see them back. Also having 3 new members, a little bit of extra fresh blood. Perhaps will inject that, you know, tiny extra bit that they needed just to get over that last hump. And then you've got, for Southampton, the exact same guys. Cassante, no, not the champion, doesn't even play it. Jettopuff, Syracuse, Snow, and Believer. And I mean, that Southampton roster last time, it looked so good, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. The Southampton roster looks really, really strong. I think they've got like a really good like composition as well. They certainly seem to play around each other perfectly. You know, we've got Jettopuff in the jungle who, you know, executed ganks like a master, really. He had so much presence on the map, and again, I mean, we have to go back to Syracuse, just a sort of dominating presence in the mid lane, but also in the bot lane, Snow and Believer, such a strong combination. That Believer pulling out 2 Nautilus games last week. I do wonder if they're going to ban it, or we're going to see some Nautilus again from Believer.
Oh, it would be a bit risky, I think, potentially for Bath to leave that Nautilus open, allow Believer to potentially pick it up, because it is just such a strong pickup. It's just good in pretty much every team composition at the moment. There's not really a team composition where you look at Nautilus and go, yeah, it really doesn't fit. Good amount of frontline, decent engage, which a lot of compositions recently, I think, have been struggling for just a good bit of engage that isn't just one at them. You know, I've seen a lot of compositions where the only actual way to get in is just to flash in, ult in. It's much easier when you've got something like the Nautilus available. But there were a lot of really interesting picks. I mean, the Smolder mid, like we were saying, that's a pretty crazy one out of Syracuse. The Vladimir top as well. I haven't seen a Vladimir top in ages. It's usually not very good, but it seemed to be pretty dang good in the hands of Cassante.
Yeah, I used to play a lot of Vladimir top back when it was really strong a couple of seasons ago, but it's definitely not been you know, seen as much. But you know, it worked out for Cassante in the top lane. But like you said, the Nautilus is going to be a really strong pickup if they can get it, and if not, we might see another one of those engage supports, but we do have to consider the support item nerfs that we saw. Obviously, we've got a bit of an adjustment to the Slay support item, so that might make engage supports a little bit weaker, especially like Maokai and Braum and things like that.
Yeah, potentially. And I mean, the patches has been pretty big for this recent one. One thing that I think we should all be rejoicing about, Smolder is, I was going to say gone, but marginally worse. Caps out eventually. Still, I think he's going to be a presence. I don't know if it's perma-pick ban anymore. What do you think?
I wouldn't say it's perma-pick ban. It's definitely it's definitely still like an S-tier pick, I think. I think it's definitely still up there with the strongest ADCs, the strongest mid laners. It's definitely going to be something that they might want to pick up, but certainly less than it was last week. With the nerfs, obviously, less scaling means less reliance on the late game. It also means that we could see Smolder being picked up and being stronger in that early game. Yeah. Instead of having to wait for that 30-minute or so power spike that we were seeing, obviously in the games last week.
Don't tell me that you could be... Don't do that to me. I don't think anybody wants to be seeing any more Smolder. I want to be seeing some of the other things that we've seen actually change around in these patches. I mean, give me some of these buffed champions. The fact that all of a sudden we could be seeing something a little bit wilder. Maybe we can get ourselves some Diana in the jungle. I've really missed that. I've missed some big AP presences in the jungle, so, hopefully we can get something a little bit exciting. At the same time, I could see us just going back to what's been happening before. Some big tanks, for the most part, in the jungle. Engage supports. Smolder, again, in the bot lane. But, maybe we'll get something a bit different.
Well, I'm going to be looking at the top lane, honestly. We've got a couple of changes, but also some indirect changes. Obviously, we've got crit-centric items being buffed, so we've got a lot of ADC influence in this patch. But also, we're going to be seeing some of that in the top lane, more specifically with Tryndamere. We've got Tryndamere getting a nerf. He's got the attack speed scaling going up, but also Navori Quickblade's getting buffed. So, a pretty essential item on Tryndamere getting, a bit stronger. We might see it a little bit, but I'm not very hopeful. It's not a very common pick. But also we've got stuff like Shen and Sion getting buffed, so we might see something like that.
Yeah, there's a potential for a lot of things moving around with those crit item changes. Maybe we get things like the Caitlyn back, Xayah and Kai'Sa actually popping off in a way that isn't just Kai'Sa with her next AP build. So maybe we'll get things a little bit different. At the same time, it's only been a couple of days on this newest patch. Players might not have had enough time to adjust, so we may not be getting things quite as different. Unfortunately, we have had a little bit of a delay. One of the players has got something going on, so we're going to be getting into our game a little bit later. That does mean we're going to go to a short break, but we should be back in the next 10-15 minutes or so to be able to bring you that game one and get this series going.
You're moving just like you own the room. Make it look easy. I wanna take you away to somewhere we can be by ourselves. I see you looking my way, so maybe it's not all in my head. It's a funny situation that I got myself into. I can't help my own frustration. I like it. I think I like you. Got nothing to lose. must think that I'm a restless case because I ran away, because I ran away. If you listen to the words I say, you know that I'm okay, you know it's just a phase. Don't think I'm leaving 'cause I'm not at all. And if you get hurt, it's unintentional. I just wanted you to realize that I'm the one you like, that I'm the one you like. So where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go? I don't know. Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Baby, I've been busy missing you. Say, have you missed me too? Say, have you missed me too? Was this intermission good for you? Yeah, was it good for you? Or are you just confused? Don't think I'm leaving 'cause I'm not at all. So if you get hurt, it's unintentional. And I know that what I did was typical. I just needed time to show you what you got. So where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? All I ever wanted was a sign from you, telling me you need me here just like I do. All I ever wanted was to make it through. Tell me, how about you? How about you? So where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go from
No, they're not. Super different and only fans rooting on them this round of the
Everyone, if you hate snakes, then this snake will end it here for double kill points for Kyrie on the back of his fight. Cancels back and forth.
Hello everybody and welcome back. Sorry for the short delay, but we do now have all of the players here for our matchup between Southampton and Bath. Again, I'm BlackBloxer. This is Ashley in case you missed that initial segment where we were talking about the matchup. And this should be a really fun one, especially with that little bit of delay, getting the hype up, a little bit of extra time. So, after these 20 minutes, you had any extra thoughts on these teams? Have you had a moment where you've realised who it is that's going to win?
I've had no like premonitions, you know. I'm still, you know, keeping neutral because I've not seen Bath play. I don't know what they can do, so I'm hoping they can, you know, pull out a really good game against Southampton. I just want to see a couple of really good games, hopefully 3. That's the goal. I think 1-1, then a third game. I think that is the aim for tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we've had so many 2-0s. All of these matchups for these teams, as we were speaking about beforehand, have been 2-0s. So it would be really, really nice for us to actually just get a proper best of 3 where we get to go all the way. It doesn't matter who comes out on top. As I was saying earlier, I think that these two teams may end up being our finalists anyway. It would be a bit of a surprise to me if anybody else is able to best whoever loses this one in that lower bracket. And so getting 3 games here, then you could go on to those finals, 5 full games to see who takes home the crown for the University Esports Trophy. That would be really, really fun.
It would be absolutely, it would be the showdown. If we do see these two teams back in the finals, that would be everything, I think that would be, you know, champions versus champions, really. You know, we've got Southampton, we saw the roster last week. Bath we haven't been looking at, but, you know, definitely a strong roster from, you know, the information we do have. Obviously a couple of players getting to the finals last split. Just, you know, it just looks like it's going to be a good game, good set of games of League.
Yeah, I mean, both of these teams seem to have really strong playstyles. From what we were seeing last time around from Southampton, they just played together really well, but also had some pretty strong individual laners, specifically mid lane. It's a highlighted matchup that we've talked about before, where Syracuse just looked super strong. I mean, in a lot of his matchups, he was just winning out. The fact that he made Smolder mid work and not look like a late game scaler, actually look like the kind of champion you can play around a lot earlier on in the game, was pretty impressive, because we've been speaking a lot about Smolder and how early on he feels pretty useless, but he is an inevitability. And so as we're going to be hopping on into draft here, do we see the Smolder banned? I think is my main question coming in. I think there's also questions about some of the other big picks that we saw. Perhaps the Swain, perhaps the Vladimir need to go away. But the main one I'm thinking about is, does Smolder go? Is it pick ban? Or does it actually slip through this draft and we can think of it as no longer being that omnipresent?
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping we either see it banned or we don't see it picked. I'm sort of got a little bored of Smolder, really. same thing over and over. It gets a bit stale, but then again, we are seeing some of these ADC bans. Very interesting. Siva, Kai'Sa, you know, we mentioned those in relation to the patch notes with crit items getting buffed.
Yeah.
So it's no surprise there that we're going to see some ADC bans. What are we going to see for the second ban from Bath? We're going to see the Varus ban, Snow. Sort of a little bit of a target ban there. We saw Snow on Varus last week, and we saw a pretty good performance. Those arrows were pretty nasty. The Blitzcrank ban as well, very strong support.
Yeah, we've seen plenty of Blitzcranks, Nautiluses, Threshers at the moment. Hook champs have got a real place in the meta at the moment. The Varus is interesting because it doesn't really like to build that crit that we've been seeing. You really are the one on hit or the lethality. Briar's been nerfed on this most recent patch, so it would be surprising to get rid of it. I haven't really seen Jetopath play it particularly. That makes a lot more sense. I think the Karthus is a pretty strong pickup at the moment. Senna was also nerfed, but it just gives you a good basis. It can be support or bot lane. The bot lane has only been nerfed a little bit out. Jinx would be awesome, and it would actually be a return to that crit build ADC that we've kind of been missing out on. I think Jinx has actually been pretty strong recently. It really likes to be paired up with something that can give it some extra attack speed boosts. Something like the Milio, the Lulu can be really strong, but then also we've been seeing plenty of Broms and Tariks and champions like that just to be able to be a nice big frontline for something like the Jinx. You could potentially pick yourself up the rest of your bot lane right now, knowing that Senna will at least be ADC or support. You can try to punish out the fact that she doesn't get that much done early and does need to scale for quite a while.
Yeah, you did mention that we did get a Senna ADC sort of nerf in this patch. Obviously, they reduced the amount of souls that she can get while solo laning, or well, not solo laning, but farming. Quite significantly as well. So I'd be very surprised to see this a Senna ADC here. So I'm gonna stick with the assumption that that's a support. But yeah, the Jinx coming out. Obviously, we got the changes to Infinity Edge. You know, the crit damage going up. We got the Lord Dom's Mortal Reminder armor pen going up. So Southampton are going to be careful if they're going to pick a tanky composition. Jinx definitely going to be picking up that Mortal Reminder or the just armor pen items in general. Tom Kench coming out for Southampton. Where do you think that's going to be?
That should be a farming Tom Kench. That should be a ADC Tom Kench to keep the Senna away from taking all of those souls. Like you said, it has been nerfed down. The Vi also going to be locked in right here. Jetopath didn't play the Vi, but has played plenty of aggressive champions like that, and it does give you a lot of priority in that in that jungle role to really give yourself a lot extra. We are going to see the Aatrox as well being locked in right now. So this is a composition that really likes to team fight. That initial kill right now for Chocolate's Children is everything, because if you get that first kill and the Jinx gets excited and the Viego gets to pick up that body and gets all of those buffs that he gets from that, that's going to be incredibly strong. Aatrox as well can make that kind of team fight happen. So as Southampton, I need a composition that can either just burst out and deal with whoever's in the front line, or the kind of composition that can sit back and try to take picks rather than trying to 5v5 teamfight, because at the moment, I definitely prefer what Bath are laying down for a straight 5v5.
Absolutely. We know from the players, the picks on Bath, Aatrox, Viego. Aatrox a very popular pick for Akiyama. Not Akiyama, kind of person, sorry. Yeah. And Viego, a very strong pick for Maru, one of his favorites, actually. So we've got very strong players on very strong champions. So we're going to have to see what Southampton can return with this. Obviously, the Azir ban, we've seen a Orianna ban come out from Bath. Obviously, we didn't see Syracuse's Orianna, but, you know, we did. Did we see his Akali last week?
We didn't see the Akali last week, no.
We did see Anakali last week, I remember that much.
Yes, no, it was Swain and Smolder that we actually ended up seeing.
Swain and Smolder. The Silas ban coming in for the last ban on Southampton. Yeah, me too. I really don't like playing against Silas. You said it, you called it the Lulu attack speed buffing support for the Jinx. Going to be pretty formidable. What can Southampton return with, though?
Yeah, you've already got your bot lanes picked out. You know that you're going to have an Aatrox in the top lane, so what is your return pickup right here? To be honest, from the way that this has kind of all been drafted over, you're not getting counterpicked too badly. Just in the mid lane, which there are plenty of safe mid laners still available. Orianna would have been that premier safe mid laner, but things like the Syndra, the Swain, we've seen it last time around, that can just sit there, absorb a lot of pressure. You're pretty unlikely to be able to just burst out a Swain and get that initial kill. Does prefer to play in and amongst a big team fight, which could be a little bit worrying, and you said this during our green room. Talk to me about this Tryndamere, because you said you were really excited for it.
I like Tryndamere a lot. I've liked Tryndamere for a long time, but he's sort of fallen out of sort of the meta. He's always been strong, but it's not a pick that you see a lot. But with the Tryndamere buff this patch, obviously he's had his attack speed scaling, increased, but also he's had that indirect buff from Quick Blade being buffed. So I think Tryndamere is going to be really strong here, especially into, a Jinx, Lulu. He's going to be able to get on that backline and just kind of blow them up if Bath can't answer that. And I don't think we can go without mentioning the Syracusa on the Swain.
Yeah.
We saw it last week. Definitely a formidable force. So we're going to see if Bath can actually answer that. But I'm very excited for this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that these are very different drafts. There's a couple of points where I think that Southampton's draft wants to go in for a big straight-up team fight. The Swain really loves just being in the middle of that chaos. Pop that demonic ascension, get loads of healing, dealing a ton of damage as well. Especially once you've got that Rylai's, it makes working your way around these team fights that much harder. Jinx, Viego, Aatrox, all of these champions are very much based on being able to position yourself around the team fight, and being slowed constantly from that ability from the Swain makes that much harder. But then there's a Senna, a Tahm Kench, a Vi. You're more looking to just pick somebody out rather than going for a straight up 5v5. In a straight up 5v5, I'm still absolutely on board with this Bath build. A lot more than I think I like what's being put down by Southampton. You've got loads of big tanky champions to sit and absorb a lot of the front line. I think Lulu is excellent, of course, with the Jinx. You love getting those attack speed steroids, but more than that, for things like the Viego and the Aatrox who want to go flying in, having that wild growth just in your back pocket to be able to keep yourself safe. Plus, Lulu can also set up really well for some early ganks if the Viego wants to get involved there, so you've got a lot of potential options. Mid lane, I don't really see any solo kills going down, to be honest. I don't think that the Anivia really wants to be getting too hyphy alongside a Swain, but once we get to these team fight, both of these champions potentially could have Rylai's. Everybody's slowed, everybody's taking a ton of damage, and if an Anivia can get ahead, awesome. If you fall behind though, versus a Vi and a Tahm Kench, even, to be honest, a Tryndamere, they can get on top of a very immobile bird quite easily, so you need to be careful to just keep yourself at least even. Falling behind could be a little bit of a death sentence for Akiyama.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you definitely mentioned the team fight prowess of Bath. Definitely, I kind of agree with you. They have a better 5v5, whereas I am in the favor of Southampton for those, those 1v1s, those solos. I think the Tryndamere is going to be very strong in the top lane, but Aatrox, we have seen hold such a strong position for a long time in the top lane. So it's going to be, I think it might be down to a skill matchup in the top lane, but don't quote me on that, because I'm not going to try and say that one player is better than the other.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Swain, Anivia, we probably won't see any solo kills on that lane, but then again, we did say that last week with the Swain Galio, and we did see a couple of kills come out from Syracusa, so we're going to see if he can, get on top of the Anivia, get that early lead, and sort of dominate the game once again. But as you said, falling behind on Anivia is really what you do not want to do against this team, especially with such engaged Vi, Tahm Kench, Tryndamere. Such an easy kill, really. Especially every single time she has a passive, they're going to be trying to get rid of that before the team fights, before the big deciding moments, so that she doesn't get another chance, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So very different compositions out of both of these teams that we're really looking at. what do these junglers do? Because if I'm looking at this Vi and at this Viego, I think that you've got a lot more urgency if you're the Vi. The Viego scales a lot better. Your composition with all of your champions scales, I think, as a whole, a little bit better. Obviously, individually, Senna with her infinite scaling, Swain's perfectly happy in the late game, and Tryndamere should be killing out on towers. But in terms of that 5v5 again, the scaling I would still give over to Bath. So as the Vi, I really want to be getting ahead as quickly as possible. A Vi that falls behind is just an ult bot, and you sometimes get killed before you can even land that ult, so it's not ideal. But if you can get yourself ahead, this Vi could really accelerate a lot of these lanes, and there is good gank setup. As the Viego, where would you really be looking to path?
I think you kind of have to try and get the center ahead, at least early, because a strong center is what you really need, especially against the Jinx Lulu. The Jinx Lulu is going to be what we're going to be looking at this game, I think. I think, in my opinion, I think the Jinx Lulu is going to be one of the strongest points of this game, simply because of those ADC buffs and just Lulu. Lulu is just such a strong support. I think, you know, she's held her position in the support role for a long, long time and can kind of get over those sort of other supports with her, you know, utility. So I think before we start this first game here, we are just going to pop to a short little break. So we will see you in a couple of minutes.
I think I like you. Tell me if you like me too. How can you move the way you do? It's making me crazy, yeah. You're moving just like you own the room. Make it look easy. I wanna take you away to somewhere we can be by ourselves. I see you looking my way, so maybe it's not all in my head. It's a funny situation that I got myself into. I can't help my own frustration. I like it. I think I like you. Got nothing to lose. 'Cause I think I like you. Tell me if you like me
Hello, we've seen the drafts, we know our teams. We're going to be getting into this game very, very shortly. I'm going to ask it, who do you think's coming out on top of this one?
Now, I really do want to see a Southampton win. Just from last week, I'm going to try and not show any bias, but I enjoyed watching Southampton play last week, so I think it's going to be good to see if they can carry on with that sort of strength that we saw last week. However, you did say that Bath has a really strong draft, and I do really agree with that. Bath have such a strong team. Like I said, I think it's going to come down to a skill matchup in some of the lanes, but a lot of the lanes, it is going to be just waiting for that 5v5, and Bath do have a very strong 5v5.
Absolutely they do. So we should be jumping on into game for our first matchup between Bath and Southampton. Remember, winner of this one is going to be in the finals for the University Esports. The loser of this one is not eliminated. They've still got a second chance. They'll be facing up against the winner between Essex and who was the other one? Oh, Sheffield, that was it. Essex and Sheffield. So, you know, losing does not eliminate you from contention, but it would definitely be good to secure your spot in those finals and not have to worry about playing another game to get there.
Yes, absolutely. And we can see some early ward control coming in from both teams, protecting from that invade. We've got Turbo Tilt, Timmy, and Cassante both defending that little top brush. Believer, Snow, everyone's holding their place at the start of this game. Everyone knows what they're doing.
Yeah, no shenanigans so far, which you can understand. There is a potential for going in. Tom Kench can be really good on that level 1, so can the Swain. That pullback is just nasty to deal with, but I can understand why game 1, you don't really want to throw anything away, just going to start standard. It is going to be a split map situation right here, where Maru is going to be pathing down towards this bottom side. You can understand why giving your Jinx and Lulu a little bit of extra protection could be great. At the same time, if you do just want to take these top lane camps and then potentially look for a mid or top gank, that could be an option for Maru. I would be pretty surprised by that one. Jettopuff, though, is going to be looking up towards the top lane. If you can get an early kill onto your Tryndamere, that's a lane you can definitely play around, and a Tryndamere that's ahead becomes a split-pushing nightmare.
Yeah, Tryndamere ahead, especially with the buffs, especially with the new item buffs. It's just going to be a case of you can't leave him alone. If you leave him alone, he will take your base, and there's going to be nothing you can do about it. See some early damage come out onto Snow here. Lord Who going to be getting that presence, zoning them off the minions. Level 2 going to be going over to Bath first. Going to see if they can do anything to stay ahead of this lane.
Yeah, you don't want to get pushed out too badly right now, but at the same time, it wouldn't be the end of the world. This Senna not going to be farming, so you are not too worried about getting pushed back. The Tahm Kench should be able to farm onto tower relatively easily, and you're in a range versus lane matchup, so nothing too much to worry about. The all-in potential once you hit level 3 is really strong for Southampton, so that's something that I would like to see Bath be cognizant of. Try not to overstep and get yourself into a bad position. Akiem is really low. Obviously still has that passive, but Jettopuff is going to be looking for a gank here.
Are we going to be able to see Jettopuff get in here? We're going to see the flash maybe from Akiyama or Jettopuff. No flash coming out first. Akiyama going to flash out. Going to have to fall to the passive. Syracuse not going to be able to do anything more. Just a lot of damage, but that's a very early Anivia passive loss. We see Maru sort of hovering nearby just in case Jettopuff's still around, but nothing else going to come of that. That's a very early passive, like I said.
Yeah.
Jettopuff going for this Scuttle Crab now. Maru is
doesn't have a smite
around. No.
Oh.
Jettopuff very low now. Maru not going to be able to get anything from that, as Jettopuff did get the Scuttle, so no speed up for Maru, though he is going to make his way into the jungle. Pick up these wolves here, maybe.
Oh, looking onto the Gromp, doesn't really know where Jettopuff is. I don't think. No, not going to go onto the Wolves either. And yeah, that mid lane play was a little bit odd, where Akiyama really needed to just back off in that situation. Tried to hold the flash for as long as possible, didn't want to lose the passive and the flash, instead ended up losing both. So potentially flashing earlier would have just gotten them out of harm's way. You take that as the buy, you're happy enough with the way that that gank has gone. The passive being out already is pretty worrying. I mean, you do not want to be in a situation where you're getting solo killed potentially, or just leaving yourself open for ganks from Jettopuff. A repeat gank for Jettopuff in the next 5 minutes is what we should be looking for now, as we're going to watch the bot lane scrap a little bit. Nobody getting too low though.
No, we're seeing Bath definitely having a more dominant bot lane so far. G-Track's going to be able to get a little bit of damage out onto Snow. Going to be returning with the little heal, but as I said, looks like Bath is going to have the stronger start to this bot lane. Got a lot of damage and a lot of sort of suppression here. Jetpuff going to come back into the mid lane. The flash misses the Q. Does a lot of damage though. Syracuse on the flash, misses the E, gets the first blood with the Q. Mario going to come in, get the stun on Syracuse. Can he pick up the kill? That is the question. Flash coming out from someone. I think that might have been Maru. But Jetpuff doing so much damage. Maru almost dying. Just going to get out away from Syracuse.
And you're going to blow that teleport as well because Akiyama cannot afford to lose all of those minions. Two really well played out of both Jeratopuff and Syracuse. A couple of little mechanical misplays where things weren't quite landing. I mean, that initial Vault Breaker flash wasn't quite landed out of Jeratopuff. The same thing ended up happening with that Never move where it just was marginally short, but still able to pump out enough damage to get that kill. And then the real good execution came getting away from Maru, making sure that nobody died in that situation. And the repeat gank works out exactly what I was calling for. Jetpuff goes in, blows a flash off of the mid laner, also gets that passive, goes back, finds the gank, and puts a kill into Syracuse's back pocket. Now, Syracuse is so incredibly strong as a player that giving them an early kill, you can see already coming back with that extra lost chapter and the booty, so gonna be very happy about the way that this early game has gone.
Absolutely, and we can see both top laners reaching level 6. Obviously, Aatrox, the World Ender, and the Tryndamere Undying Rage, both very strong ults. Where Jetpuff going to be able to get these grubs. Obviously, we saw a little bit of a change to the grubs now. Instead of getting a shield, they instead get some decaying health, which is a little bit of a different change, but I like it, actually. Whereas Bath are going to be able to return with a dragon. So that's a 1-for-1 trade for both jungle objectives here.
Yeah, it really depends on who ends up getting that next set of grubs for if this is a worthwhile trade or not. Jetpuff potentially going to look for a dive here. Would be very risky. Both of these top laners are level 6.
So, World Ender and Undying Rage coming out from both top laners, Aatrox and Tryndamere respectively. Tryndamere not being able to get much value out of that, but Jetpuff going to stick the pressure on. Kinda's ult has run out. So much damage coming in from the Vi. That's a very, very strong early game, and a kill going over to Jetpuff here. You said he needed to get ahead early so he doesn't just become an ult bot. And he's doing exactly that. He's ganked twice to mid, got a kill there. He's ganked top now. They've dove. They've been successful. They've got a kill. Can they swing that into just a strong Vi here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm incredibly impressed with the way that this early game has been played out by Jetpuff. Maru, who's just kind of been going around farming, is up by 10 CS, so there is a decent CS lead between, but it's not as big as you would really expect, and the fact that you've put a kill into your mid laner, got one for yourself, this gold lead is going to be pretty much negligent for both of these junglers, but you're putting a lot more power into your laner's hands right now as Jetpuff. You're going to be happy with the way that this early game has gone, and the damage, like you said, was huge. It's Hail of Blades, so sure, you get a little bit of extra damage when you do that full combo, but it's not as, I wasn't expecting it to be giving you that much extra, considering that this Vi right now just has a longsword in terms of extra damage, but is still just absolutely rolling through. There's some pings going down onto the bot lane. The warding is good right now for Bath. They're instead going to go into the jungle.
Jetpuff going to be able to push Maru off of this blue buff. They aren't going to stay and take it as they know the pressure from Akiyama, and maybe a rotate from bot lane would be pretty easy here, but Syracuse are just going to wander back into the mid lane, put some pressure down with the E. Gonna assert his dominance in the lane already, picking up a lost chapter over the Anivia here, as we have a little bit of the look at the gold disparity. Not very much in it at the moment, very early in this game, but we can see 400 lead in top and a couple
Mid's
hundred
decent
in the jungle. Mid is decent, but we see the bot lane going over to Southampton as well.
Yeah, a lot of this is pretty even, but that mid lane is the only one that is a bit much. Maru is going to go for that first gank now.
Lord Who going to flash in. Believer just going to use the ult on Snow and get him out of there. Jetpuff is going to go in on this in response. Maru going to live. The ult from Maru coming out, but the ult from Jetpuff in response. There, Bath going to pick up both kills there. No kills for Southampton. A lot of damage, but no kills. As we get into, a little skirmish in the mid lane, Syracuse and Akiyama are going to be battling it out. Not really anything coming of it, but that was poorly executed from
Yes.
Southampton, I think, in the bot lane. I think
Absolutely
it was a bit of an early Tom Kenshall. I think that could have been saved a little bit. I think Snow could have got a little bit further back, and maybe they could have got under the tower so that there wasn't that ult potential from Maru, but what can you do?
I don't know Oh, hang on. It looks like
Hang
we're
on,
going to have a big gank top lane.
Flash coming out from kind of person. Can he get out of this with the World Ender? Gonna interrupt Jetup's Q. Undying Rage coming out from Cassante. Looks like kind of person is just going to die here. Flash going to come out from Cassante, but the tower shot kills him anyway. Jetup getting really low. Maru is going to look for this, but the speed up from the Senna is not going to allow him to do that.
Yeah, it looks like instead Maru just going to head down, potentially take these Krugs because Jetupov is so low. Just going to take their Grump instead. Could potentially try to get something done, but right now Akiyama has a lot more of a press in the mid lane, so it'll be very risky. And that's going to be a good play top lane. Cassante going a little bit too deep does end up going down. Not ideal. You didn't really want to give over an extra kill to Turbotail, but at the end of the day, things have not been going too badly. On that bot lane play, I don't necessarily think there was anything that Snow and Believer did particularly wrong. I think it was over-aggressive from Jetupov. That's just going to be stolen away as well. And Jetupov might just die here. I don't know if they can get away.
Yeah.
Oh,
Turbotail just coming in over the wall, getting another kill. It's gonna be tough for Cassante here now with his laner getting 2 kills, 1 unintentional from the the tower dive. Pretty unlucky that tower shot's still connected, but another kill, an extra kill from the jungler.
this is the issue with the Vi. Despite the fact that you get ahead in terms of kills, you're not able to clear the jungle quite quickly enough. Now a couple of kills have gone over to Maru, and they're beginning to pull ahead as well. And a lot of these lanes that were doing, not badly, but were being shut down a little bit by Southampton, have already come back online. Top lane, 2 kills, feeling a lot better. Maru as well, like we were saying. And then G-Trax as well. Had a very quiet early game, everybody did from this bot lane, but all of a sudden you're able to get yourself a little bit extra. Maru and Akiyama are looking at this Drake potentially. Jetupov can just jump back over the wall. Now going to be spotted though, very late.
Jetupov in a very safe position, but is going to go in pretty early. Ult coming out onto G-Trax, the ult coming out onto the Jinx as well, but she is going to fall to Syracusa. The Syracusa's ult is just going to absolutely rip through. We saw this last week, and we're going to see it again. The Swain ult is just dominating. A triple kill coming out for Syracusa. We're seeing it again. The Swain is so strong. Akiyama going to be so low, but does have the passive. Syracusa, a triple kill. That looked like a really bad fight for Southampton. Jetupov going in really early, getting the ult off on the Lulu, I think. However, it did turn out on top for Southampton. Syracusa just showing that malignance off again.
The Malignance gives you so much on that ult. Interesting to see if it will be the Rylai's next, or if potentially want a little bit of burn from a Leandri's. A lot of potential builds right now, but Syracusa just stood in there, healed a ton, dealt so much damage. It is going to be another potential fight around this Drake, though. You are going to secure it at Southampton.
Jetupov is going to be able to secure the Drake this time. He is just going to get out Leave Believer for dead. There's not much he could have done there with 4 people in that dragon pit. Syracusa going to get chased down by Maru here. Is something going to happen here? Are they going to go for the tower dive? I'm not exactly sure. Akiyama is going in through the back. Jetupov is there, though, to be aware of that. Jetupov going to not get caught by Maru here. There's a lot of stuff going on. Syracusa does not have ult for this fight just yet. The TP coming in. Gonna get off. Akiyama looking a bit weak. Getting caught out. The passive is going to come out. It looks like they are just going to be able to kill him. Who are they going to give this kill to? Looks like it's going to be Syracusa. We are seeing such interesting plays from both teams where the other team comes out on top seemingly unexpectedly. Last fight we saw Southampton come on top.
I could say messy.
Yeah.
Messy is another word for
messy.
these
I was
fights.
trying to be nice. Trying to be nice, you know.
No, I get you. And to be fair, some of them are genuinely interesting plays with some really good...
Oh, G-Trax
Okay.
cross map ult onto Cassante. Didn't have the ult. Would he have even been able to time that ult?
I don't know if you're going to be fast enough on that button to be able to press it even if it is up. Obviously, it wasn't, and so pretty good snipe. Really good play out of G-Trax there. That one we can call interesting, but that's a good interesting. There's been some bad interesting where that second take onto the Drake, as Jedipuff, you know that you're dying here. Leaving Believer for dead is unfortunate, but I mean, I guess the support for the Drake can be worth it. The potential dive then out of Bath just looked really odd. Left Akiyama just sort of out to dry again. Was left in a really bad spot. The TP coming down was really well placed as well from Believer. It is good, I think, to have the TP onto the Tahm Kench. It just gives you so much extra map mobility, and you really need one somewhere, because Syracuse and Cassandra have both gone with the Ghost Flash combo, so they're going to be able to do a lot better in their individual 1v1s and potentially in team fights, but actually playing the map gets a lot harder if you don't have any teleports on your team at all. Especially when there are 2 on your opposition. So Believer really needed the teleport, used it effectively to dissuade that dive bot lane and actually to get a kill back. Looks like Bath are going to be able to pick themselves up this Herald nice and easily. You could potentially put it top lane. Top lane tower has taken a decent beating, but it would still be risky considering the fact that Syracuse is so strong and is always within striking distance of top lane if they make a snap call and just decide to run up the river.
Yeah, it looks like Cassandra is going to get ganked here. He does not have the Undying range just yet. Can he survive enough time to get it? The Sentinel is going to come out, saves him a little bit, but it doesn't look like they wanted to die, but it looks like they are just going to plant the Herald. They are not. I was wrong. No. Maru is just going to pull her back here. But Jedipuff looking for a gank on Akiyama. Akiyama has no idea. The ult coming out. Syracuse is going to be able to get the stun and the Q. Easy. And it just looks like Akiyama is going to fall again. Yeah, Jedipuff picking up another kill on Akiyama. Akiyama has not had a good game in terms of jungling. He's just been suppressed so hard. Mari going to come up, negate some of this damage on the tower. Syracuse are going to be able to get a little pick on him, a little bit of damage, you know, just sort of saying, I'm here, I'm strong, get out of my lane. You know,
yeah, just gonna show up, give a little bit of a show of force. We're obviously getting a lot of these first items coming through. The Malignance was completed quite a while ago for Syracuse, but you're now getting that response of the Rod of Ages for Akiyama. We've got quite a lot of just what would be counted as very standard. G-Track's beginning to absolutely roll, doing a lot. Maru is here, gonna pop the Herald down into the spot lane. I don't think you actually need it to take down this tower. Could potentially chase onto a second one.
Looks like that's going to happen. Maru is going to get a lot of damage off from Believer. G-Trax is going to ult and hop in the Herald and just charge down this tower. I wonder if they're going to be able to get this tier 2. I don't think they are. They're not even going to try. They don't know where Syracuse is. They have to be careful of that. 2 items now for Syracuse. He's got the Rylai's. That's such a strong item for the Swain, as we know. Syracuse is just going to kind of wander back into lane. Pretty unfortunate for Southampton bot lane, but it looks like Bath are actually going to carry on with this push. They're just keeping that pressure there. Lord 2 and Maru sitting in a bush. Believer doesn't know. Snow is just going to back in this bush here. Jetopuff coming in. Do they know where Jetopuff is? It looks like Maru, they have spotted him on a ward. Jetopuff is going to put down a controller to deal with that. And that push going to be stopped by the pressure of Southampton. We can see the gold lead in mid. I think we do need to talk about that, but also the gold lead in jungle. We're seeing pretty much the same gold lead in both roles.
Here's the gold leads fighting.
A little bit of skirmish. Jetopuff gonna be able to queue over the wall, get out. Maru is gonna carry on chasing. That Kraken Slayer gonna come out so strong. Akiyama gonna put on the wall. Jetopuff gonna has to flash. Did he flash or did he?
Yes,
queue?
he flashed the wall.
He flashed the wall. Jetopuff gonna use the flash just to get out there and saying, I'm not taking that risk. It looks like the Dragon, it's looking hopeful for Bath, but Southampton aren't going to let this go without a fight. Kasane is walking down the river. We can see he has the Ghost.
Oh, the
Syracuse
pullback!
Ult going to come in. Massive ult from Syracuse. Jetopuff going to pick up a kill. The Tahm Kench going to get out. Turbo is going to come in through behind. Is going to come in with the World Ender. Can they take down Syracuse here? They are. G-Track's going to get the shutdown on Syracuse. That's 600 gold going over to the Jinx. That's huge. Jetopuff and Snow are going to have to get out of here. Jetopuff really in a bad position. Snow even worse position. Snow is just going to fall. Are they going to look for
They're going to get it. They're going to get it.
They are. Jetopuff going to hold his back, hold his ground, see if he can get it off. But it does not look like it. It does not look like Jetopuff is going to survive here. Nope. Turbo Tilt coming down, getting 3 kills. Just
huge.
Sort of leaving his lane, doing what top laners do best, leaving his lane, getting fed later in the game. But like I said, that Jinx shutdown on Syracuse, that's a lot of gold going over to the Jinx, especially for those new items, Kasane is going to get that first tower in the top lane. As we said, Tryndamere comes into a pushing bot. And the Drake is going to get started again. Snow and Believer are nearby. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to do anything about this, though. Snow is going to give it a go. Isn't able to get enough damage off. And the third Drake of the game, sorry, going over to Bath.
So, massive swings right here. Syracuse are going to chase right here onto Akiyama. Going to force that flash out because of the Rylai's. It's incredibly hard to get away. Like you said, it's going to be huge that G-Trax was able to pick up that shutdown onto Syracuse. So that's a huge amount of gold over to the Jinx. But we were talking all about the gold lead in the jungle, gold lead in the mid lane. It turns out we didn't really care about any of them because top laners, Kinderperson just getting right involved with that fight. Sure, you lose out onto that top tower to Cassandre. It's not ideal. You don't really want to be giving away your turret, but all of those kills picked up is going to be just huge. Has now completed both that Divine as well as that Spear of Shojin, so is in an incredibly strong position to just get into the backline and disrupt these fights. And you could really see that these team fights are a lot stronger for Bath. They weren't quite able to team fight as effectively as you really would have hoped for, simply because G-Trax was getting chased around and not able to get away even slightly. Now that you've got that Ardent Sensor completed, well on the way to a second item for Lord Hu, you're going to be able to keep G-Trax alive even longer. We are about 21 minutes into the game, and so Baron is a potential factor at the moment. Both of these teams have not the fastest, not the slowest. You've got a much faster pick. Oh, hang on. Can you get on top of him? Do they not want to? Nah, they're just going to back out.
Mario's just going to...
Oh, G-Trax.
G-Trax going to get ulted on by Jettopuff. Is going to get Lulu ulted, but is just going to die so quickly. Snow going to pick up the kill. Kasane going to try and chase Lord Hu straight out of the fight. Akiyama. They don't see Akiyama. Does Kasane know? Lord Hu is just going to get suppressed by Kasane. He's not letting him get near this. Maru is coming in, though. Kasane is going to look to fall here. The Undying Rage coming out. Believer going in and using the Tom Kenshal. Didn't need to, actually, because the Undying Rage came out. Jettopuff gonna go in. Syracuse's ult, again, looking so strong. Believer gonna carry on with this fight. Maru looking to just get out here. And it looks like Southampton may be able to look for this Baron, but Turbo Tilt Timmy, once again, coming in from the backlines. The Jinx ult coming in. Syracuse is gonna block it. No sneaky kills there from the Jinx ult once again. But it looks like there is going to be no Baron fights here. Believer is get into a little bit of a scuffle with Maru while he's trying to back. But is just gonna back out of there completely.
And that was a fight that has ended in Southampton's favour, but you're still all low with a lot of gold to spend right now. So Southampton gonna have to base or make a decision right now to come and fight Bath. Akiyama does have the teleport if you want to keep trying to play onto this one. There's a lot of key ultis that are down at the moment as well. To be honest, none of the ultimates are up for Southampton, so that could have been a potential fight window. Bath instead gonna try a little bit onto the Baron. When it doesn't work out, just gonna back out nice and quickly. Something really key to note about this one is that Kinderperson, Turbo Tilt Timmy, did not teleport up to that fight, was not up at that point, instead walked from all the way at the bottom lane at the inhibitors up to join this fight. As such, was really late, and so maybe with Turbo Tilt Timmy there a little bit earlier on, you would have been in a much better position as Bath to be able to actually pick up that fight win and get yourself a little bit more done. We saw around that Drake what can be changed by having that Aatrox involved in these team fights, so now that the teleport is available for Kinderperson, it could be a huge boon for these team fights for Bath. Without it, you're kind of missing one of those key frontlining pieces, and it means that G-Trax once again is just getting chased around and jumped on and not really allowed to just sit there and deal the damage that he's really looking to do.
I think I'm going to be the one to comment on it. I think I'm just going to clarify for the stream that Turbo Timmy and Kinderperson are the same person. So we keep referring to both of them. It's the same guy. Yeah. It's just a different in-game name to the one we've been given. So I think going forward we'll just say Kinderperson. But Jettopuff going to be able to get this scuttle. No sort of, no qualms from Bath. They're just going to let this happen. Like you said, a lot of fights going on around Baron. They just want the Barons.
I think part of it is that Bath's composition is so strong in a team fight that you need to keep playing around these objectives and force Southampton into a position where you do need to fight. Senna right now sat on 76 souls, so really not going to be that strong. Maru might be a little caught out. No, just going to be able to sneak around that wall. Wonder if they were going to get pincered onto by Jettopuff and Believer.
Ooh, I thought Jetpuff might have looked for an ult on G-Trax there. Not actually gonna. It might have been a good ult angle, but then again, the dragon is coming up, so it may have been a bit of a throw if he was gonna die. Maybe you just wanted to be a little bit safe. The TP is gonna come in from Akiyama, so the whole team going to be in the bar. They're going to catch kind of person out. If they're going to be able to kill him here early in this fight, they are not. It doesn't look like they are going to be able to kill him. The kill going over to Believer. Believer going to almost fall.
God.
Jetpuff just going in. Syracusa again. The healing snow is going to stay in the backline, but Syracusa is going to fall, and it looks like a really bad fight for Southampton. I don't really know what happened to Jetpuff. I saw him just kind of disappear in the middle of that fight.
I can let you know exactly what it was that happened in that fight. All of the kills went down to everybody else. It's been a pretty quiet game overall. But in that fight, Akiyama had the biggest ult. That ult was just sat on top of everybody, and that is a bird that has both a Leandries as well as a Roa. And so that burns and just does so much. It just sat on everybody, and everybody was just fighting in the middle of that glacial storm. It meant that it was just so easy for Bath to keep playing that one. The fact that Kind of Person was also able to keep themselves alive for so long with all of that innate healing through the Aatrox, plus all of that healing that you get through those items completed, meant that it kept people for longer and longer in the middle of that ulti. So if you fight in a small enclosed space, yeah, that's gonna go badly. Mario also just having an absolute baller fight with that one. 3 items now completed. The amount of damage you can do as this Viego is huge. And that is going to be a Baron over to Bath. So they're set up for a really strong set of pushes right now. But in order to counteract that, it looks like Asante just going to be able to pick themselves out that outer tier 1. Good bit of objective bounty on that as well.
Looking at the little bit of gold disparity in this game, we have the sort of the sneaky sort of gold lead coming in from the Jinx. Bit unexpected, doesn't have a lot of kills, but the farm is just absolutely ridiculous. Going to be like 12,000 gold for the Jinx here, but as you said, Bath did get that Baron that they have been wanting for so long. They fought well for it, but in that fight as well, we saw Syracusa picked up the Zhonya's. Didn't really do much for him. After his whole team died, he just kind of got one shot. There was nothing going for him. Syracusa is going to get doped here. Turbo to Timmy. The Zhonya's going to come out. The tower is doing a lot of damage to Kind of Person, sorry. Maru is just going to be able to kill him. The Lulu Walk going to come out for Kind of Person. Snow just going to get one shot by G-Trax. I told you, I knew it. The gold lead. I wonder what items Jinx has to do that much damage. The Infinity Edge got buffed. The Mortal Reminder is out. It looks like Bath might just end this game here. Can Southampton defend this? Kasane is alive, does have Undying Rage. Is he going to be able to get onto anyone here? He's going to get on Turbo to Timmy.
Doesn't work.
Kind of Person, the name is. Kasane is going to have to pop ult really early. Believer going to go in, dies. Jetpuff just getting melted by this Jinx. This Jinx is so strong right now. Sort of seemingly from nowhere. We saw not a lot of Jinx like strength throughout this game, but G-Trax coming out at the end, doing so much damage. Maru is going to go in. Jetpuff ult coming out. Kasane just going to get in, do no damage, and go out again. Syracusa is going to ult, but it's not going to be enough. The first game is going to go over to Bath here. What a game. What a turnaround. Very quickly, that game went straight downhill.
And it felt pretty good in the beginning stages right there for Southampton. You know, there was a lot of proactive, good play coming out from that Vi. We really liked what we were seeing. But Bath, it kind of felt like they were just better in a lot of situations. As soon as we got into those actual team fights, the composition was really unlocked. Maru was having an absolute ball of a performance on that Viego, because it didn't matter that, you know, the early ganking, the early killing was going over to the Vi. Oh well, who cares? Maru is happy to just sit in the jungle, keep themselves ahead by 10, ballooned to quite a lot more than 10, but initially 10 CS, so that you're at least even with all of the gold that the Vi is getting from those assists and those kills, and then you get to get into these team fights, and once that initial kill goes down, like we were saying during draft, you manage to take over that body, your Jinx has also gotten excited, and you're able to run through these team fights. Although, to be fair, G-Trax really didn't get to play that game as much as they would have really liked. They were dead quite a lot. It was on the other members to step up until the moment where G-Trax actually was allowed to just sit and hit, and then there was really no hope for the members of Southampton.
I think, like I said, we saw a sort of a sneaky Jinx power spike near the end there. I don't think either of us expected the amount of damage to come out from that ADC with the Infinity Edge picked up, with the Last Whisper picked up. It was so much damage. But like you said, they didn't really get to play the game very much early, and throughout their game, Southampton did look very strong in the early stages. They had a lot of good fights. They had a lot of kills. Syracuse was 5-0 at one point. He was looking very, very strong, but it just wasn't enough. Like you said, Maru with an absolute performance on the Viego, just showing that how strong that champion can be in a team fight with the ult. And Akiyama as well. You mentioned the ult in one of those fights before Dragon. Massive ult. Akiyama had such an awful lane. Was pretty suppressed by Jetupper for Syracuse. Wasn't really able to do anything, but still showing how strong he can be in a team fight. We sort of said it in draft. Bath had a stronger team fight, and they proved that.
Yes, absolutely. You could really tell that the team fight was quite a lot stronger. And I think that going into game 2, I'm going to need to see a lot of adaptation. When we were looking through the player sheets, and also from what I know of these players from previous years, Southampton gave over a lot of big priority picks to Bath, a lot of things that these guys really, really liked, and so I think maybe you need to switch around that ban phase a little bit. Obviously, we're both pretty happy that Smolder didn't get picked or banned. It seems to be out of our hair, but now there's a couple more priority picks that you need to get rid of. I think first port of call, you can't give over that Viego.
Yeah, I think that Viego is a little bit too strong for Southampton to just kind of ignore. But also we saw a lot of power coming from that Aatrox. Like I said, Turbo Tilt Timmy sort of showing his like worth on that Aatrox, because he, you know, we've been told that he likes the Aatrox. It's one of his favorite champions along with Yone, but also he sort of showed why it's his favorite champion, and I sort of think that they need to consider that. But yeah, the Viego absolutely super strong. With just a little bit look at the draft again. The Lulu as well. The ults coming out from the Lulu, especially onto the Aatrox, were just amazing. So I think with the conclusion of that game, we are going to go to a short break, but stick around because we are going to go to game 2 very, very shortly.
I like it. I think I like it. Got nothing to lose. 'Cause I think I like it. Tell me if you like me too.
welcome back everybody after we had that first game between Southampton and Bath. Bath are going to pick that one in pretty dominant fashion. What a game that was.
Yeah, we sort of saw like a little bit of strength coming out from Southampton early, but we did see Bath come out on top. And I am wondering if we are going to see that in game 2. Are we going to see a 2-0 like both teams have seen in their previous rounds? Or are we going to go to game 3 today? I'm really hoping to go to game 3, and I know you are as well. I know you're longing for a 3-game like you were last week, but sometimes it just can't happen. But
sometimes a team just looks stronger, and in that game, Bath just kind of looks stronger. But we know that Southampton have a lot to show. The thing I worry about a little bit from this one is in the previous series that we watched between Southampton and Sheffield, Timotopper in the top lane was absolutely mauling people, was doing a really good job, but the rest of the team wasn't quite up to scratch. In this game, it looked like Syracuse was absolutely mauling people, but the rest of the team weren't quite able to keep up. And so perhaps we are getting just Bath, who are a more solid overall team once again. If so, maybe they're correct, and that no extra means that Bath wins.
Yeah, like they have said, no Exeter means Bath win. Apparently, that is what they've called. Are we going to see it? You know, same first bans coming out for both teams. Southampton and Bath going to be banning out the Varus, and Southampton going to be getting rid of the Lilia. They are going to ban the Aatrox here. Like we did say, sort of a priority ban. Now that they've seen it, Turbo Tilt Timmy really scaring Southampton into a ban.
Yeah, I mean, that one was looking incredibly strong. Interesting to see if we will get a Viego taken away. Side selection is the same too, which is interesting. So we'll see if once again we are going to get that sort of counter pick being given over potentially to the mid lane, or do you want to change it around again? We'll see what these final sets of bans will be. It will be the Jinx as well, so we're definitely going to get something different out of Bath. Right now, it looks like Bath, though, are perfectly happy to be banning the same things, not really looking to change anything up too much. The Vi was the only problem it really felt like. I mean, it wasn't the best early game for mid lane, but then again, things got a lot better later on, so I don't think that you need to be unhappy about the way that that one played out. Final ban going to be coming through in just a couple of seconds time, and there are some key priority first picks still available. I would have said the Senna. Now that the Senna is gone, I don't know that you particularly want to go towards your ADC anymore. There are plenty of strong ones. Never mind, straight in on the Kai'Sa. Okay.
Yeah, the priority pick coming out. They're going to get that counter pick potentially. I'm not exactly sure how the Ashe Kai'Sa matchup works. Maybe you can shed some light on that once we.
If you take the Ashe to support, then I get what you're doing. If that's actually an Ashe AD carry, I'm very surprised.
Viego going to come out again for Bath. They're going to let it through. Southampton may be kicking themselves after that, but we might not see the same kind of performance from Maru. But then again, most of these players have been pretty consistent throughout their performances. We might see a different mid laner from Akiyama. Maybe he'll pick up something with a little bit more mobility. Volibear coming out for Southampton, a strong pick throughout the last couple of patches. Did get a little bit of a nerf this patch, but still a seriously strong jungler. And the Nautilus coming out for Southampton, a favourite of Believer last week. 2 Nautilus games. We're going to get one of Braum coming out as well.
I wasn't so sure about the Ashe. I've seen it support a lot more than I've seen it in the actual bot lane. Although, of course, with those crit changes, you can potentially take Ashe a little bit more crit based. She does prefer to go mainly on hit, but you don't have to. You can work in a little bit of crit to just increase that raw damage output. I do love an Ashe Braum. I think that that's a great pairing. It makes getting away from this bot lane incredibly tricky. The amount of slows that can come through, of course, once Braum hits that first ability, those passive stacks come through, can get people locked down very easily. I feel like the elephant, though, is the fact that we are giving over the Viego again to Maru. And I mean, Maru was looking so good, and it didn't need to get involved with the first 5 minutes of the game. The second that these team fights came through, was able to start just picking up kills. And there's already some pretty good bodies to inhabit. The Volibear is a particularly good one to grab mid-team fight because it keeps you quite tanky. And then you get to really just run through the backline, use it as a great way to engage for that second bit of the ultimate. Things coming through on the band is going to be that Swain taken off of the board. Be interested to see if we get another Orianna ban, because that's another potential mid laner that you can do a lot of work with, whilst also being incredibly safe and pretty hard to punish.
Yeah, like you said, the Swain ban coming out. I am very, very interested to see what we see from both teams here, especially Akiyama. I do want to see if we're going to get another Anivia game, or we're going to get something different. But we are going to be able to see something different from Syracuse this game. His Swain getting banned out. We knew, well, I assumed it was going to happen.
Yeah.
I thought that they needed to get rid of that because it showed a lot of early game prowess. Even though Bath came out on top, it could have got stronger, it could have got out of control. But we are going to see something else from Syracuse this game. Is it going to be the Smolder like last week? I don't think so. I hope not,
would be very, very surprised if it is going to be the Smolder. I think you probably want to pick yourself up that top lane right now, and then you can turn it into the mid lane. But actually, if you just want to take the Aurelian Soul, I really, really like it. I was surprised we didn't see the Aurelian Soul in the last game. I thought it probably would have given a little bit more than the Anivia. I love it right now. It gives you, again, great late game insurance, deals plenty of damage early, and also is super good on a roam, and you can pair it up alongside the Viego or roam the Brom into that mid lane and try to get a lot done. Now, Aurelian Soul is not the strongest at the very early stages of the game. You really don't want to play something melee into him just because he can breathe on you the entire time. You want something a little bit longer range. I really like the Syndra as a response into the Aurelian Soul. You get way outscaled as the Syndra, but once you get around that level 6 mark, before that fully upgraded ult comes through for the Aurelian Soul, you're in a much stronger position. And we are going to see the Jax as the final pickup right here for Cassante. We saw it in the previous series versus Sheffield, and it looked pretty strong.
It did. Cassante on the Jax looked pretty strong. They obviously won the game. We haven't seen Syracuse on Syndra yet, so we are going to be able to see what he is going to be able to do on, you know, a champion like Syndra. But you were talking about the Aurelian Soul. Yone going to be coming out for Turbo Tilt Timmy, another one of his favorite picks, as we have been informed. So we are going to see what he can do. We saw it obviously last week. Aka's picked up the Yone.
Yeah.
But there wasn't as much as a performance as I would have liked. I love seeing Yones, and I love seeing what they can do. But you were speaking about the Aurelian Soul when we were on a short break.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see you sort of hype me up for an Aurelian Soul pick.
I'm hyped for it. I'm really hyped for it. I think that it fits the playstyle that we've been seeing actually really, really well, because what we ended up seeing in the last game on that Anivia was just getting jumped on quite a lot, but not really caring, just looking to get into that mid to late game where you begin to get a couple of items on your belt and then just rolling through. That's exactly what an Aurelian Soul can do, but I think you're even safer than the Anivia. Anivia is the least mobile champion in the entire game. You're reliant on that wall to be able to get people off of you, and if you don't quite land it perfectly, you're not going to be able to survive. Whereas you can take flight, take the astral flight on the Aurelian Soul, get yourself out of dodge, as well as being able to deal plenty of damage with that breath at the same time. And so I really want to see how this Aurelian Soul works, and there's plenty of setup for it. Obviously you can pick really nicely with this composition for Bath with that Ash Arrow, but if you do want to go straight up for a big fight, Brom's great with that ulti. You've got the Yone as well, and once either of those land, if you just bring that ult down for the Aurelian Soul, that's a way to just take everybody so low that your Viego and your Ashe can jump on top of them, finish off those kills, and just roll through a team fight.
Yeah, it is certainly another very, very strong team fight composition from Bath. We're seeing them pick up this, you know, this sort of synergy that you don't really see very often in games like this, but they are definitely talking about their picks. They're definitely not just picking their strongest champs, they're definitely picking what works well with each other. The Braum pick coming out, we have seen Braum get a tiny little bit weaker since the patch, just because of that Solstice Slay nerf. You know, takes a little bit of the strength away from the Braum, but then again, it's still pretty
right.
it's still pretty strong. It has been nerfed 3 patches in a row and he's been alright. So, you know, it is certainly something we're gonna have to watch for Bath.
Yes, absolutely. I really like the Braum at the moment. I think a lot of the champions in the bot lane right now are really benefiting from either Emilio or Lulu if they want way more attack speed, or a Braum. And if you ban out 2 of the 3, then you just pick the 3rd at the moment. Nautilus is sort of floating on the edges as a great different option if you just need a bit of extra engage. And I think you really did need a bit of extra engage for this composition right here out of Southampton. You know, I really like the just super burst potential that you have, and there is potential for a lot of team fight wins, but you got to be so careful about not being caught out in a lot of these big ults. And there's immobile champions all across the board that you can really go for as this Ashe with a snipe. Syndra though is really strong at the moment. She's got a lot of long range, it's been interesting in the mid lane, where all of a sudden mid laners have been picking a lot of different crazy stuff, when the basic staples of Syndra, Azir, and Orianna are still absolutely fine. Orianna still seems to be pretty strong, but for some reason Syndra, Azir have been falling off a little bit. There have been a couple of changes to items, of course, that did mean they weren't quite as strong, but I think they're still absolutely great pickups. I'm really interested to see what this Jax versus Yone matchup is going to look like, because the Jax should come out on top. That counter stance is a great counter to what Yone wants to lay down, and the fact that you can leap strike onto him when he jumps away with that soul unbound gives you a lot of extra power in this matchup. At the same time, though, I've seen these just be won, you know, by Turbo.
Yeah.
I can see this top lane matchup just come out on top, despite the fact it's kind of a counter.
It's sort of the thing that just happens with Yone. You know, even if you pick a counter, he just sometimes wins. And it's interesting that you mentioned the potential for the sort of cross-map snipes with the Ashe. We did see it last game with the Jinx from G-Trax. You know, we saw the little sneaky little kill coming in on the top lane from across the map, and you know, we're gonna have to see if he can do that again. But this time with a little bit more utility, being able to sort of engage, enter a team fight from like across the map.
Exactly. Alright, so we've seen our drafts. We're going to be heading into the next game in just a couple of minutes, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back after a short break.
A sign from you, telling me you need me here just like I do. All I ever wanted was to make it through. Tell me, how about you? How about you? So where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go from here?
You say you love me, say you're thinking of me, but you're just lonely. Tell me I'm special, but to you I'm anybody. 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 Anybody. But to you I'm anybody. But to you I'm anybody. But to you I'm anybody. You say you love me, say you're thinking of me, but you're just lonely. Tell me I'm special, but to you I'm anybody. 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 Anybody. But to you I'm anybody. But to you I'm anybody. But to you I'm anybody. Anybody. But to you. To you I'm anybody, to you I'm anybody, to you I'm anybody, anybody, to you I'm anybody, to you I'm anybody, to you I'm anybody, anybody, to you, to you.
Game number 2 is coming up in just a couple of minutes. We've seen that draft. It looking strong for both of these teams. I think, once again, I'm preferring what Bath has put down, but I like a lot more of what Southampton have. What are you feeling after that draft?
Honestly, Southampton's draft looks a lot stronger this time around. I'm loving the volley bear. I'm loving the Nautilus. You know, we saw it last week from Believer. We're gonna see it again. We're seeing the Syndra this time from Syracusa with his Swain getting banned out. And once again, we're seeing a return on the Jax from Cassante. But we're also seeing the Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa consistently a pretty strong ADC. But so, yeah, Southampton, their draft, certainly seeming a lot stronger than last draft. But Bath's draft still looking very, very strong as we get into this game. It looks like there's going to be a little bit of shenanigans. Is Turbo Tilt Timmy going to get caught out here?
Oh, I think
Seems
they
to
don't
spot
see
it.
him. Now they see him. Does he get slowed? Oh. Getting slowed there would have been a little bit scary. Instead, everybody's going to be spotted out. It's really too early for anything to be particularly won or lost off of that invade. You are going to get the rest of Bath to head on into this bot lane. They are going to set themselves up in quite an aggressive position on this bush. If somebody bases and walks back to check on the red buff, they can find themselves in a very bad position. You might be able to catch out the bot lane of Snow and Believer here, depending on how they walk back through to lane. You see the pings coming down, they're worried, but if you still step up through this bottom little bit of bush here, you could potentially get yourself in a bad position. Believer is going to step up.
Are we going to see something coming from Believer? He knows.
Oh, he knows.
He's very scared.
Oh, but he's doing it anyway.
He's going to face
no!
strike. He's going to face strike. No,
No!
Believer. No. Oh, Believer going to have to flash out over that. Akiyama going to be able to get some damage, but they are not going to be able to get the kill on Believer. But, oh, he knew. He was so scared of the bush, yet he face checked it anyway. Listen to your gut, Believer. Listen to your gut.
Yep,
It looks like
to believe in it a little bit more. Oh,
Yeah.
man. That's
Maru
a
is going
big
to pick
flash.
up that red buff.
Big flash to be lost, and Maru is now going to be able to set up a split map situation. Right here, Jetterpuff is going to be in full control of the top side of the map, so he's going to be all over top lane, can potentially try to get the Jax ahead in this semi-counter matchup versus the Yone, whereas Maru's going to be all over bot lane, is also going to run into Believer right here. I don't think there's anything Believer can actually do about this. Snow and Believer know that Maru is there, but do they actually want to step up to a level 2 Viego when they themselves are a level 1? I don't think so. This is going to be the level 3 for Maru. It means that Snow and Believer also can't step up to the wave, because if they step up too far, they're going to be losing out to Maru from a gank from behind. This is a terrible position the bot lane has now found themselves in.
Yeah, G-Trax, not level 2 yet. Lord Who is, but Maru
This
is
is
going to kind
terrible.
of just get out of there. Lord Who is now level 2. Believer and Snow still level 1. Obviously that wave stacking up. But Maru is just going to be able to get out. But we do see Jetterpuff returning the favor with a short blue side clear. But he is going to go and pick up that red, those chickens, and also those Krugs. He might see if he can turn this into a top lane gank onto Turbo Tilt Timmy, but Cassante has shoved him. Are we going to see a very early dive here? I don't think we will, but it is always a potential.
Yeah, there is always the potential that you could go for this early on dive. It's pretty tricky versus a Yone, but it's not the end of the world. Gonna go.
Turbo Tilt Timmy going to get very low. Cassante is
Oh, the
not
shield.
tanking tower.
Oh,
The first blow going to
man.
go over to Turbo Tilt Timmy. Cassante is going to have to flash out after getting the kill. That was a little bit of a misplay. Jetterpuff tanking one too many tower shots there. Believer going to hit Hook on G-Trax. Is going to do a lot of damage. Snow not going to be able to pick up that kill. The Ignite coming out. Maru is behind though. They don't know he is there. Are they going to look to dive here? Lord Who is still full HP here. Maru's still not looking anymore. Is just going to go and pick up the Scuttle Crab. But that was a lot of damage coming onto G-Trax there from Believer. I thought Believer might have fought there. He got very, very low. Worried me a little bit. But Jetterpuff is looking. Still has the flash. Still has the play available. But Maru is around. The bot lane of Southampton still don't know.
Maru's going to spot this play out. I don't think that he actually wants to fight onto it. You're still at a disadvantage when you're up against a volley bear early on. That 1v1 potential, especially if he manages to hit that Sky Splitter, is just huge. You can roll through people. Maru might want to go onto Believer or Snow, though. They're hanging around so risky. They're going to go.
Lord Hu is going to jump in and get the Q onto Believer. Believer is going to get stunned by Maru, but is going to be able to Q out. Jetpuff going to get onto the backline and kill G-Trax there. Maru is going to have to just get out here. Lord Hu looks to be taking a lot of damage, but does just jump out there. A turnaround for Southampton. That looks very, very bad for Believer. Believer getting very low, but is going to be able to manage to just keep himself alive. Jetpuff looking to stop this back. Can't find Maru. Is just going to have to fall out here without getting anything else, but such a strong early for Southampton.
The Sky Splitter. It's so strong during the early couple of levels. It deals so much damage and then also gives the Volibear a nice big shield as top lane's getting into a big fight. Double Tip Timmy just going to be able to get away using that Soul Unbound to retreat. Does have Maru around if Cassante wants to go for the dive here. This could go bad.
Kasane does want to go for the dive. Isn't going to die to Maru. Is going to be able to get onto to me and just kill him. Maru isn't going to be able to do anything. You just have to sit there and watch his top laner die in horror. You just have to sit and watch it happen.
That's a situation where you're, as Maru saying to Timmy, hey, just leave there. Like, I've got that kill. You being there gives him a jump out to escape through. Plus, he manages to pick up that kill, and now there's nothing I can do. You're also going to get that pressure top lane, meaning that you can step up as Jetpuff and pick yourself up these grubs as well. It's an absolute disaster over playing the top side, and very conversely to the previous game, the early game going super well for Southampton, but not just because of their proactivity, but some misplays out of Bath.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing a little bit of a misplay there. Turbo Timmy, as you said, should have just left, but did give Cassante the little jump, the max range jump that he needed to get out of that tower, survive himself, and pick up the kill. Gave him level 6 as well, which just allowed him that that health.
Yeah, you really don't want to be stepping up onto a level 6 Jax either, so you just had to back away as Maru. Things are still not out of hand for either of these teams. There's barely a gold lead, about 1,000 in favour of Southampton at the moment. If they want to grow this gold lead, you're going to need to get involved in more of these lanes. You could potentially look for something to go onto the mid lane. Now that you have level 6s onto Syracusa, top lane, Timmy is not having a good time in this matchup at all. The counter has been so strong out of the Jax. And Timmy's just going to have to base again. This is going to be a massive minion wave lost, but he can't stick around. He'll just die.
Bit of a skirmish looking to turn into a fight. Lord Hu going to be using the flash. Jetpuff is going to flash as well. Looks like Bath is going to have the priority for this dragon, but Believer is really looking for this. Isn't level 6 yet. Is only level 4. Going to flash in. Get the stun onto Maru and just going to one-shot him. Jetpuff is going to die so quickly to Akiyama there. The damage coming out from the Aurelian Soul. Believer looks to fall as well. So much damage does not fall. Believer going to get the shield, but Syracusa is going to die to G-Trax.
The ult out of Akiyama did not work out very well during the early stages of that team fight, but then you were just able to stand there and deal so much damage off of that breath. Same with G-Trax, who's able to just keep sitting back, and that's the joys of having a Braum and an Ashe. The kiting ability off of these two champions is absolutely insane. You chase a little bit worse than you kite backwards, but still, either is going to be pretty strong. Nobody actually manages to walk away from that Drake picking it up, and there is a lot of warding now around the area for Bath. There's a couple towards bot side available for Southampton, but the control is definitely in favour of Bath. You're going to need to wait a little bit before Akiyama gets back from basing. Same thing for your bot lane before Maru can really look onto this Drake, whereas already the bot lanes have gotten back for Jetpuff, so he's going to be in a much happier position to move onto this Drake. You do take it relatively fast as this Volibear, but not fast enough to get away with doing it sneakily. Maru is going to spot this one if he goes down. Ooh, he's not going to step up for it.
Maru, I don't even know if Maru actually spotted the Drake, but he's definitely spotted Syracusa, so he knows it's going on. Ashe, he is going to come out and spot that they are doing the dragon. They're not going to go for it. They're not going to be able to counter this, so it looks like first Drake is going over to Southampton.
Yeah, stepping up there would have been a pretty bad idea for Maru. Your bot lane has based, your mid lane has based, is just on his way back. You don't have any of the support around. It was a little bit of potential miscommunication. They had a pretty healthy bot lane. I understand why Akiyama had to go back to base, absolutely fine. Potentially the bot lane could have stuck around long enough for you to at least contest onto this Drake. Instead, you just lose out on it massively. talking of losing out on things massively, the amount of CS that is gapping in this top lane is huge. Thank you very much, observers, for showing us the gold. It's going to be about 8,000 in the top lane. We've got about 300 in the mid lane. Sorry, 8,800 in the top lane. Jeez, I just assigned a much bigger lead.
I was about to say, I was looking at the numbers and thinking that there isn't an 8,000 anywhere in there. And if there was, I would call Cassante a silly little cheater. Scripting for that CS, getting extra gold. But no, Cassante is certainly ahead of Turbo Timmy this game. It looks a different outcome. He has the Sheen, he has the Phage. Sheen is such a strong item, and it always has been. But you know, it's just so strong. Jax into the Yone. I was very excited to see the Yone, and I still am. I still think it's going to be strong in the team fights, but in this lane, absolutely nothing he can do about it.
Exactly. You're looking for the team fights right here. As Turbo Timmy, you are not looking to play out this laning phase. It's really unfortunate that he's falling quite so far behind in terms of CS. 20 CS lead. Deficit even is quite large. At the same time, though, you should be able to make good on those team fights. It's just all about hitting that face seal. That ultimate is the biggest boon that Yone has. Maru sat in this bush spending quite a while here, and the wave is being pushed away, so I'm not entirely sure what the plan is, unless you're looking to fully bounce the waves back, but I don't think you're going to quite have enough time here. Maru just going to have to wander back away. The Void Grubs are going to go over to Jetopuff. I can't entirely remember who ended up getting which sets of those.
I believe, right, have included in the client now, as you can see at the top, 6 Void Grubs have gone over
of course.
to Southampton. A dive going to come out for Turbo Timmy. They're just going to disable the tower.
Yeah,
absolutely. The Stormbringer going to just disable that tower. Make sure no cheeky little kills can come out for Turbo Timmy once again. Whoa. Syracusa going to do a lot of damage with that Unleashed Power, but not going to be able to kill Akiyama here. Akiyama is going to respond with the Falling Star, but just not going to be able to hit it. Jetopuff is coming in. Are they going to be able to pick off Maru here? Maru is going to have to ult to get away, but so much damage coming out from Syracusa. Maru almost going to fall. Is going to be forced off of this. But wow. Very, very active game here. Both teams, well, not both teams, Southampton seriously bringing the pressure.
They really are.
Game.
But a lot of their lead is concentrated up in the top side. There would have been a kill easily for Syracusa if those stacks were all the way up and were in the position to execute. That's the point at which this Syndra is really going to be coming online. Right now, not going to be dealing that much damage. You know, got a Lost Chapter, a book, a ring, some boots, nothing fully upgraded. Not going to be dealing enough damage to actually get those big kills. Now has got a little bit more. The Luna's Companion has come through. Still, you're waiting for 2 to 3 items for the Syndra to really come online. But the top side looking incredibly strong. That Trinity Force already completed is going to be absolutely huge for Cassante in this 1v1 matchup. And once we get into the team fights, if this Jax gets into the backline and is able to disrupt the auto-attacking that you're really looking to do as 3 out of the 5 champions right here from Bath, that's where you're going to be in a very, very strong position. You can see Jetopuff is going towards that tanky Volibear build, which is the one I definitely prefer personally. I think you get a lot more utility by just being a big wall of bear rather than trying to deal extra damage. You've got enough damage. You've got yourself a Jax, a Syndra, a Kai'Sa. All of those can be the damage for you. You just need to keep them alive and be that engage alongside Believer. So this game is going really well for Southampton. If they're looking to send us to a game 3 rather than falling down into the losers bracket, this is the early game they would have wanted. Maru might look for a dive hit though.
Now we are looking to see a dive out of Maru here potentially after he's done these Krugs. We've got Akiyama coming down as well. Does have the ult as well, so it's going to look to be a really, really strong dive from them here. Maru is going to be able to get the E onto Snow. Snow is going to not fall yet, but G-Trax is not going to be able to pick up the kill. Snow with the shield. Oh, and the Sky's Descend is just going to pick up that kill on the Kai'Sa, and Maru going to be able to pick up the kill on Believer. I would like to make a quick comment. We didn't see it on the spectate, but Turbo Timmy did get ganked by Jetopuff and had to use his ult to get out. Doesn't have TP for this dragon, but Cassante does if he would like to. Jetopuff is going to have to ult out here just to keep himself safe. Syracusa is going to get dove on. He's going to be able to keep himself safe though.
TP.
TP in behind from Cassante, I said. Turbo Timmy does not have the TP to answer this. Lord Who is going to take a lot of damage from Syracusa here. Cassante is just going to be able to jump on Maru. Pretty much just one shot on that Triforce doing so much damage. Maru, 1 HP. Snow going to be able to pick the kill with a little bit of a snipe. Cassante using a flash there, didn't really need to use the flash, but wanted to pick up the kill. Wasn't able to, gets the assist though. That was such a strong TP from Cassante. Like I said, Turbo Timmy did not have the TP to answer. He'd used it earlier in the lane to get back and try and keep himself ahead. But, it's all futile in the end.
Yeah, it's things going really badly. We were so excited about this Cassante, but the Jax counter was really strong. Well done from Cassante, having this one in the back pocket in order to pull it out. And this game is really tricky. So many auto-attack based champions that now can't do what they're looking to get done because there is this super strong Jax in the game. Jitterpuff just going to steal away that blue buff as well, make Maru's life even harder. And after getting a pretty bad game in game 1, this has been a great turnaround for Southampton. They've picked themselves up a composition that we liked a lot better and are executing it incredibly well. The arrow going to come through will land.
G-Track's going to be able to land a really cheeky arrow on Believer. Believer is going to be able to get out. Maru taking so much damage again. Believer is almost going to fall to Akiyama, but not going to be able to pick the kill. G-Track's looking to pick up a lot of damage onto Jetterpuff and Syracuse here. Jetterpuff is not going to fall so low. Believer also going to live. Jetterpuff living on 1 HP. You could call it luck. I don't want to call it that. I think that was calculated.
Oh my lord. In that situation, G-Trax was desperately auto-attacking whatever was in front of him in order to get as many static Shiv procs off as possible, and they kept hitting Jetterpuff, but they just didn't quite do enough. You can see Jetterpuff already back to pretty much full health because of the amount of healing that a Volibear can get done. I agree with Calculated, because if you'd have gone for a more aggressive Volibear build, the one that sort of gets a Sundered Sky first, for example, you'd have died in that situation. So Calculated going towards the tank Volibear, gonna keep him alive, and also means that the Rift Herald goes over nice and easily too. The lead is continuing to accelerate right here for Southampton. The only thing they need to be conscious of is the fact that the gold lead hasn't been accelerating. It's still only about 1,000, when I think at this point, with the early game they've had, they should be looking at having ballooned that to at least 2 to 3.
Yeah, not as big of a gold lead as I would have expected, but we do not see such a massive kill gap either. I think the lack of gold lead comes from Cassante just killing Turbo Timmy over and over. Not worth a lot of gold anymore, but as you said, G-Trax was just trying to get those kills, wasn't able to pick up anything in the way of Jetterpuff. Jetterpuff, such a like slight escape. I'm sure he was sweating a little bit, but he lived. Not even close. Not even close.
Not even worried. Absolutely, it's gonna be all good. Right. This game has been crazy already. It feels like it's a lot further in than 17 minutes, I gotta say, just with the amount of map movement that we've had. Feels like nobody's been in their lanes for quite a while so far. G-Trax is beginning to get online. With that static shift completed, well on the way to that next item. I think it's going to be a Kraken Slayer as the next one. No, I think it is the Kraken Slayer. I was going to say could potentially be going towards that shield bow just to stay alive for a little bit longer, but honestly, if you're being jumped upon by Jetterpuff or Cassante, you're kind of dead anyway. It could be useful potentially for not getting bursted out by Syracuse, so we will have to see. But I think G-Trax right now just wants to be pumping out the most damage possible. Everybody else only really has one item. Oh, other than Cassante, though, who's got those 2 items completed. Gone with the Frozen Heart second. That's a ton of just armor and slows on auto attacks. Going to be great up against everybody except for Akiyama, who is going to be the main hope at this point for Bath getting back into this game.
Jetterpuff going to be coming for another dive on Turbo Tim. He does have the ult. Isn't going to use it because he sees Maru, he sees Ludhu. They don't want to take that dive. Jetterpuff taking a lot of damage there from the tower. Every single ult available for both teams. We may be very close to getting Sky's Descend on the Aurelian Soul, but I'm not exactly sure. As you're saying, 2 items on nobody but Cassante, but G-Trax has now picked up the Kraken Slayer, like you were saying.
Yeah, is in a pretty strong position. 2 items, not quite where the Ash is really looking to come online. You really want that third. Kai'Sa appears to be building, another one of the Flavor of the Week builds. Is that what it was called recently? I think Kai'Sa always has some kind of crazy build. The Eclipse going to be that first pickup. I mean, it is Haloblade, so going towards the lethality was always going to be a definite option. is going to be the case in this one, and it makes sense, to be honest. There's not really a big tank that you're looking to get through. The Brom isn't really a tank. Once that shield's down, is relatively squishy. Everybody else, you're just looking to burst out as quickly as possible. You can work some AP into this build pretty effectively. I think the Nash's Tooth is going to be that next pickup. Help you get that W up to the upgrade, as well as just being able to deal massive poke damage. I like where this is going for Southampton, and the gold lead has now gone up a little bit, still sat around that 1k mark, and the Herald is going to be dropped for them in the mid lane. Might be able to pick up this mid lane tower, which would be a good bit. TP coming in.
TP coming in from Cassante. Is Turbo Timmy is going to answer with his own TP. G-Trax is just going to get jumped on by Jetterpuff and just dies. Same with Maru. Maru just gets one shot. Turbo Timmy not going to be able to do anything with his TP. He just sort of has to, you know, sort of meander on out there. Sort of with his head in his hands, not able to pick up anything. No ults. Cassante is going to jump on him. A little bit brave, a little bit forward. Syracuse is going to be able to get... Oh, wow! Absolutely massive damage coming out from Syracuse, especially with that unleashed power. Didn't even really need it. Syracuse are going to stop backs as well. Lord Who just going to be denied everything there. Akiyama is in a bit of a tricky situation. I think they just need to back out here because Believer has that tower dive potential, especially with Syracuse. But the third dragon is going to go over to Southampton. Jetterpuff picking up the Chemtech Drake. Soul point now for Southampton.
Really strong team fight right there, and it feels like one of those games where unfortunately top lane loses and it becomes very, very tricky. To be fair, in that team fight, Cassante teleported in but wasn't really needed. The kills had already gone down. Jetterpuff having a very good performance on this Volibear. Because of the nerfs to Volley, I wasn't sure if it was going to be as much of a priority pickup. Apparently, it is still going to be one of those big priority champions that you might end up needing to ban. Would be good for Southampton to send us to a game 3. I'd love to see more of this series. Jetterpuff stepping up right here. Can't be too risky. Dying as the jungler right now would be absolutely devastating for your chances of winning. Bath would be able to turn onto the Baron very, very quickly. While that bot lane play was going on as well, you're able to pick up a mid lane turret as Snow, and so the gold is just increasing. You can see there's big shutdowns on many members. Akiyama going in though.
Can Akiyama pick up anything on Syracuse? Syracuse is just going to turn it around.
Yeah.
With the unleashed power and just absolutely one-shot Akiyama. Akiyama not expecting that whatsoever. Maru going to get out of this fight here. Jetterpuff is going to go in. Is going to take a lot of damage though. Is not going to fall yet. Is still not going to fall. Turbo Timmy going to be able to pick up the kill on Jetterpuff, but Cassante going to jump in and just
wipe.
Destroy. It's a wipe, like you said. Lord Who going to fall. Cassante and Snow picking up 2 kills each, and Akiyama dying in the bot lane like we saw. There was absolutely nothing Bath could do about that. They managed to kill Jetterpuff, but that was simply because he went in first and on his own. They focused so many resources after the Stormbringer came out, and it just left them with nothing after he died.
Absolutely, and we saw it earlier on where Syracuse went to turn onto Akiyama, just didn't quite have the damage, didn't quite have the stacks to be able to blow up this Aurelion Soul. Now they absolutely do. Syracuse is in a very strong position. You can see off the gold there's massive gaps in basically every single lane. The only lanes where there's not huge canyons is kind of the jungle and the bot lane, but still there's 1,000 gold in all of those lanes, you know. Obviously supports are pretty close, but yeah. Stuff happens. Not going to be the biggest shock. Akiyama being down during that last team fight meant that the Sky's Descent wasn't there. There was a potential for a really big one with lots of members once again grouped up. We said in the last game, Akiyama, bad laning phase occasionally, but really good team fights potentially. So need to watch out for when they're actually involved in one of these team fights. There's a lot of scaling is kind of the saving grace right now. You fall off a little bit as Southampton's composition. You're perfectly happy to keep scaling with picks like the Syndra and the Kai'Sa, but everything else isn't going to be quite so strong, whereas Bath gets stronger and stronger the later into this game we go. Arrow for a pick, potentially.
Turbo Timmy all into Believer. Believer is looking to fall here. Akiyama going to pick up a kill. Lord Who is going to use the Glacial Fissure pretty late in the fight though. Didn't really need to. Wasn't able to pick up the kill on Snow either. Jetterpuff going to look to catch Akiyama in the jungle. Is going to come out and do a lot of damage. The Sky's Descent is going to come out in response. Jetterpuff getting caught out in the jungle here. Jetterpuff is going to jump over. Is he going to be able to survive here? The stun coming out from G-Trax with Lord Who's passive. Syracuse just going to take a lot of damage here. Maru turning in, flashing. It's just turned around on Southampton completely. Snow is going to fall here as well.
Okay. Look at that. Good fight.
Yeah, Maru taking over Jettopuff after the kill and flashing in onto Syracuse and just destroying him. Kasane is looking to maybe sneak a kill on Timmy, but backs off. Maybe a little bit smart. Doesn't know where Maru has gone.
And that mid lane pick, I wasn't so sure about the mid lane pick. You know, you ended up losing a top lane turret fort, a bot lane turret fort, for one pick onto the support. Not ideal, but still, it's something, and at this point, Bath were looking for anything. Now they're going to look for another pick onto Believer, just caught out of position, looking for wards. If he goes down right here, that could be a potential turn onto the Drake that's coming up in a couple seconds. Believer's just going to be dead.
Yeah, once again, Believer falling before... Especially before Dragon. 30 seconds on his death timer, 20 seconds on the Dragon timer. Probably we're not going to look at Southampton going to be able to... Oh, we see Kasane solo killing Timmy in the top lane once again, but obviously we don't see it. Jettopuff going to take a lot of damage. Does not have Stormbringer as of yet, but is about to get it. Yeah, and is anybody going to go and answer Kasane here? Somebody has to. It looks like they are all going to. But that leaves Southampton to get the Dragon. Jettopuff is going to stop a couple of backs here. G-Trex and Lord Hu having to stop. Maru is going to get out. Akiyama is going to cancel his back just to stay with Lord Hu and G-Trex. Make sure they don't die. Snow going to keep the pressure out with the pokes. And Syracuse. We're just going to see Kasane just destroying the towers, putting on so much pressure. Southampton are going to get the Dragon Soul here for free.
Oh. That is so unfortunate right here. Turbotilt Timmy had a pretty good game one. Some really impressive teleport flanks coming out onto that Aatrox, but this one's been a lot worse. Believer might just go over this wall. Just going to pop the ult instead. Not going to result in a kill. The ult not really used to its greatest effect, but you can see the vision. But yeah, Turbotilt Timmy getting quite far behind, and it's putting a lot of pressure onto his team. They were set up to be able to take that Dragon 4v5. Instead, it ends up in a 4v4 and a split pushing Cassante just taking over in this game. We could potentially see a big fight right here. You can tell that Southampton really want to pull the trigger right now, but instead they're just going to play this game out calm and collected, try to take these turrets and just keep pushing Bath back into a smaller and smaller bit of their base. It's getting increasingly difficult for Bath to be able to find any big plays.
We do have a lot of ults on both sides here. Obviously, we have Fate Sealed from the Yone, but are we going to see a big one? Kasane and Yone seem to be sort of like just fighting each other again. Believer is going to be in the front line here, going to get stunned. Maru, a little bit of an interesting engage. Lord Hu going to be coming out with the Glacial Fizz. Is going to miss. No, Sky's Descent. Falling Star just going to miss. Unfortunate that they didn't have Sky's Descent for that fight. That might have been able to turn. Kasane is just going to pick up the inhib though while they do that. Once again, they ignore Kasane. They leave him to his own fights and he just wins. Kasane is just going to walk at Turbotilt Timmy here. Can he get out? He uses the E just to kind of get out. Uses the Fatal Seal to try and get out again. Does not work as he hits Kasane and just goes down. Turbotilt Timmy 2-7. Now, it's not been a great game for him, but Southampton going to be able to pick up that bot tower that they were really fighting for, and nobody is going to fall for Southampton. A really strong push, and it's looking more and more like Southampton are going to take us to a game 3.
Hell yeah, that's exactly what we were hoping for. Cassante still unkilled, just mauling people right now. 4 items completed, well on the way to being full build. Terrifying position for Ajax to be in, and you're put in a situation right now where the only point at which you catch back up to the Cassante on the Jax is because he's run out of things to buy. You know, he can't get any stronger than level 18 with a full build, and so you're just waiting for that point to come so that you can then begin to chip away at that full advantage. but it feels like they don't know what to do as Bath. Do you send multiple members onto the Jax? Can you actually kill him in that situation? Because right now they're just kind of leaving Turbo Tilt Timmy by himself versus this Jax, and it didn't work at the start of the game, and it is certainly not working now when he's got 4 items completed and is just wrecking whatever's in his path. The Baron has been started. This is seen by Bath, and you do have a moment before Cassante gets here, but he will roam over as Snap Notice does have the teleport available. You need to be careful.
Both top players do have the teleport available, and although Turbo Tilt Timmy seems to be out of this game, a large Fate Unsealed, a 5-man, 4-man, 3-man Fate Sealed could change the way of a fight. Even though he might not do a lot of damage, even though he might not be able to pick up the kills, he can certainly bring out the crowd control that his team kind of needs. And we still don't have a Sky's Descent available from the Aurelian Soul, so it looks like Southampton are going to be the ones to get this Baron here, though. They are going to start it again. Maru is going to look to go in. Believer going to engage on G-Trax. G-Trax going to flash out.
This
Lord
could be
Fu hiding
good.
in the bush. Glacial Fissure. Falling Star coming out. Maru is going to have to all out. Stormbringer going to come in from Jetterpuff. Jetterpuff is just going to do so much damage to Akiyama and Maru. G-Trax looking to fall. Jetterpuff going to pick up the kill. And Snow also going to pick up the kill onto Lord Fu. It's not looking great for Bath right now. Is Maru going to fall? Believer going to walk into him. Believer going to walk into him, and just is Believer going to kill him? Maru is going to be able to kill Believer, but can he get out of this? Snow looking very low. Cassante is just looking to keep Maru away from this base here. We saw this earlier. TP coming in from Cassante right at the end of the game onto the minions. It looks like Southampton are going to be able to end here. Turbo Tilt Timmy coming in for a final stand. Not going to be able to pick up anything. Is not going to be able to get the game he wanted. Maru is going to fall, trying to defend his Nexus with his life. He fails. Game 3 is in the works. Southampton picking up Game 2, and we are going to see a victory from Southampton.
Just huge performance right there out of Southampton, and there were so many other members stepping up. In that game 1, Syracuse was there like, guys, I'm great on this Swain, and there wasn't really a rest of a team around him. It's fine, put it behind you, step up in game 2, and oh boy did everybody step up. Top lane specifically, obviously Turbo Timmy got that little bit of a counter matchup with the Jax. It does really well into the Cassante, but I've got to be honest, I've not seen it do that well into the Cassante in quite a while. It was an absolutely dominant performance there, but every other lane was doing well too. It never felt like Maru could really get off the ground. There wasn't a real situation where G-Trax was able to actually sit there and auto-attack. He was constantly being chased around in these fights. Everybody did their job. Some great hooks as well out of Believer. I think you should be really happy as a full team there out of Southampton, and the fact that they've managed to pick up a win, send us to Game 3 is huge. We were very excited to actually get to see a Game 3, so yeah, thank you very much, Southampton.
Yeah, seeing a Game 3 here is absolutely what we wanted. We saw a 2-0 last week, and we saw an example of another 2-0 in the other bracket, but we didn't want to see that this week because we want to see the excitement. We want to know, we want to be on our seats of who's going to win with this, and Southampton is going to provide that for us. We did say in the draft, Southampton did have a much stronger draft than before. We are gonna just look at the pick ban again. Like I said, we did say that Southampton had a much stronger draft than they did. Bath had a strong draft, but obviously not anything to mess with. Southampton's draft, Jetterpuff on the Volley Bear. The Volley Bear was so strong that game, and you know we can't avoid talking about the Jax.
Yeah, there was just so much to really like about what it was that Southampton did. I do have to say, I think that the Ash Brom was where this draft lost me a little bit for Bath. I really like the Aurelian Soul, the Yone, the Viego. Obviously, in the actual game, we saw that the Yone was not able to stand up to the Jax, so perhaps you can only grab that as a counter rather than blind picking it. Good to know. But the Ash was able to get some good snipes off on those ultis, but just not able to actually lay down that damage because she's so immobile, so squishy. The second that there was a Volley Bear or a Jax or even the Syndra around, you could just jump on top of them really quickly. Syndra as well, I was very happy to see it in draft. I feel like we don't see it enough. And so yeah, I really liked a couple of bits out of this Bath draft, but I think it didn't come together quite as well. We're going to have a quick look at the bracket as well, because we have a winner of that matchup down there. If you have a look, Lads on Tour versus Essex Excaliburs. Lads on Tour, Sheffield have managed to 2-0. Very quick one as well, because they got done way before we got done. And so we know who it is that's going to be facing up against the loser of this matchup. Loser of this one facing off against Sheffield's Lads on Tour. Winner will be in the finals to face up whoever wins in that losers bracket matchup. It's going to be a huge one either way.
I really want to know your opinions on who you think is going to win this third game here, because we've seen an absolute performance from both teams. You know, Bath in the first game we saw winning pretty suddenly. We didn't expect them to push an end, and I know in that game we knew Southampton were going to end pretty soon, but when they decided to, it was just that Bath had no chance to defend that end. So we've seen a pretty similar performance from both teams in both games, respectively. So I'm interested to hear your opinions on who you think is going to win this third game.
Alright, I'm going to give you an answer now, and then I'm going to give you an answer after draft. For right now, I think all of my gut is telling me to go with Bath, but the thing I'm seeing is that in this game, Southampton had completely fixed all of their issues. Like, they were able to play cohesively as a team, whereas even in that win for Southampton, mid lane was still a little bit of an issue. So because of that, I am gonna say that Southampton are gonna be able to come out on top. But again, ask me after the draft, what do you think?
See, I was going to go with the same. Southampton looking very strong. I think you're right. They definitely were able to fix a lot of their issues. I suppose they were able to look what went wrong. How can we fix that? How did these guys play? Almost Bath. You know, they were able to sort of see how they play and understand what they need to do. So yeah, I think Southampton may pull through here, but you know, it's not over till the Nexus explodes. So we are going to be going to game 3 very, very shortly. We are going to switch to a very short break though.
Snake will end it here for double kill points for Kyrie on the back end of this fight. Cancel's fighting forward, but she
We got it, Ash. We got ourselves a game number 3. Let's go.
Game number 3, that's what we've been wanting. I mean, we wanted one last week. We didn't get one last week. Southampton were able to just stomp that. Not this time, though. Game 3 is inevitable and will be happening very, very shortly. I'm very excited.
Hell yeah. We were far too worried about seeing a 2-0. There'd been a lot of 2-0s. We could have followed the losers bracket today. We decided we wanted to stick with the winners. That would have been a quick 2-0 as well. So very happy to be watching this game right now. Send it to a game 3. I'll reiterate the stakes for you right now. The loser of this one is not out. So you still have another chance to make it to the finals. You will go down into the losers bracket, and you will be facing off against lads on tour from Sheffield, who had just beaten out Essex Excaliburs. Winner of this one, you're done until next weekend, and then you are in our finals. You are competing for that trophy, and you don't have to play another game, which could be pretty huge. Another game of rest and another game where your opponents are showing off their picks, things that you can look at, you can plan around, so it's a huge advantage to win right now, beyond just being awesome to be able to win, get in there as the favorites in that finals. So really big game right here as we jump on into the pick and bans. We're going to see the same set of bans coming out from Southampton. They know what was going wrong in game 1. They do not want to see the Jinx. They do not want to see the Aatrox.
Bath gonna answer with a Senna ban, same 2 bans as you said. You know, Bath are keeping their ground, but they have swapped over to the Senna ban from last game. Southampton, they are going to swap sides. The Kaiser ban coming out, and the Ashe pick going to be coming out once again. Very interesting to see that once more.
Okay, the Ashe was not the problem in that game. I think that you needed more around the Ashe to keep it working. If you want a pick comp, you need more to follow up on, because they were able to get picks, but just onto Believer, only onto the support, and they were never really able to capitalize. Obviously, if top lane isn't losing as hard as it was in that previous game of Bath, then you're maybe able to better capitalize off of the fact that you get these picks. So I don't hate the Ashe, I just need to see what you pair up with it. Zeri is something that's been floating around on the edges of pro play recently. It's really, really strong, but it takes a lot more to get going than an Ashe does. Ashe is immediately useful. Zeri needs those items under her belt and then can miss a lot more. Obviously, with those auto attacks being skill shots, she can just deal less damage if she's constantly having to run away. She's a lot safer, though, than the Ashe, able to leap over walls. She likes being paired up with, again, get people who want to give her some attack speed steroids. So Lulu, Milio, those are absolutely on the cards right now.
Absolutely, we're going to see the Nautilus. Very, very strong. Once again, Believer. Another game on Nautilus. Believer loves this Nautilus. And
has he played anything else?
He played in the first game. He played something else. I can't remember what it was. But he didn't play Nautilus in the first game.
No. But then in the previous 2 that we saw was also 2 Nautilus games. So
Wasn't
there's a
Tom
lot of
Kench?
Nautilus. Tom Kench, that was it.
Tom
Farming
Kench,
Tom
yeah.
Kench, yes.
Farming Tom Kench, yes. So last week, Bath is going to be able to pick up the Azir that Southampton has been banning out. They're going to pick it up early. So I'm going to be very interested to see what can come of this. Obviously, it's a priority pick for them to be picking it up first. Rel coming out for the Ashe. Very strong support.
I really like it into the Nautilus as well. The ability to break those shields off can be huge. Nautilus shield is not massive in the early levels, but it's enough to keep him alive in a lot of situations, and you can definitely counter that. It's also flexible. You can potentially put it into the jungle if that's where you think it's going to be best, so keep your draft as wide open as possible. I think that you want to pick yourself up a jungler right now, although if you think that the Jax is just going to be good into every matchup, I can see why you'd want to pick this one up right now for Cassante. The only thing is, it was especially good in the last game because it was picked as a counter to the Yone. Do you have something else to pick up right here as Turbo? Because if he does, then this Jax could look a lot weaker than it did in the previous game.
We're going to have to see. Obviously, Cassante feels comfortable playing as long as there's an Aatrox. They banned the Aatrox. They're going to ban the Viego this time. Viego not going to be available for Bath. But yeah, the Volibear also not going to be able for Southampton. As we said, last game, Jetterpuff was picked up the Volibear and absolutely dominated with just the strength that Volibear pulls. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Turbo Timmy is going to pick up a counter to Jax, and whether he's going to be able to effectively. Yeah, there is.
Jungle Pool being squeezed massively right here. A lot of those priority picks are gone. You've still got things like the J4, the Xin Zhao, the Wukong, the Lee Sin, all of those if you want to go with your aggressive picks in the jungle. Sejuani always available to just sit there, be a tank, give you some engage. It's never a bad pick in a composition. There's ones it works with better, there's ones it works with worse, but it's always going to be fine. They do want to go aggressive, so the Wukong is going to be that lock-in. I really like that alongside the Jax. I think that those could work great in tandem. Also alongside a Nautilus, you've got plenty of that engage and lockdown. The Ashe is going to need to be very careful. Anytime the flash is down is going to be a very scary time indeed. We'll see what the response is going to be. You can see what everything is bar that mid lane. I like the fact that you're giving that counter pick over right here to the mid lane, because it has been kind of the weak point, I'd say, for Bath right now. That Darius is locked. Oh my.
Very, very interesting pick from Bath top lane. Darius, you know, a notoriously difficult to deal with top laner, but I'm not exactly sure if the Jax is going to really take much notice of him. I think that Cassante might just be able to take his lead, even if it isn't a kill lead this game. Darius is a pretty difficult and notorious 2v1 laner, especially with the ult, the Nico coming out in the jungle. Nico is such a strong pick.
Is that a Nico jungle, or is that going to be a Nico support and the Rel into the jungle?
Yeah,
it could potentially be that way around. I think it's going to be Rel in the jungle, to be honest. I think that the Nico Ashe gives you quite a lot into this area. If you manage to land any of those stuns, then you can just run it through. The Pop Blossom always going to be strong. The Swain was banned in the previous game for good reason, because that was a pretty strong pickup for Syracuse. Akiyama, I mean, also Akiyama onto the Azir. You shouldn't die in this matchup. You should be fine. But again, we've not really seen solo kills going over particularly against Akiyama. It's just they've been down on a lot of CS. It's pretty easy to farm from a distance though as an Azir. I think this could be a pretty good safe pickup for them.
I think so, absolutely. I mean, we see the Swain coming out for Syracuse again. Syracuse loving that Swain. A pretty comfortable pick. And like you said, they banned it last game, but not this game, and he's going to take advantage of that. And we're going to be able to see if he can push that pressure like he did. I'm going to be interested in watching this top lane, though.
Yes.
Going to be able to see what the Darius is going to do against this Jax. And like you said, the Rel jungle, we don't see it very often, but when we do, it is a pretty strong pick.
Yeah. It's more of a pro style pick. You don't tend to see it down at these levels. The Wukong is a lot more university, but I mean, I love it. If you can play the Rel, why not? You're so right though, this top lane is going to be fascinating, because in the last game it was the deciding matchup. The fact that the Jax was able to just roll through the Yone was basically everything that you could possibly need, and it raises a question potentially of, you know, is Timmy just great on the Aatrox? You know, do they have something else to pull out? The Yone wasn't exactly ideal. I am worried about this Darius into the Jax. The Jax's ability to leap onto the Darius can negate quite a lot of what the Darius is looking to do. The fact that you can stop a lot of the auto attacks, again, another thing that the Darius is looking to do. I think you have to play these fights pretty slowly. Apply the stacks of bleed slowly but surely, and then go for an all-in with the ultimate, potentially with the Rel alongside you. At the same time, do you have to win this matchup, or do you just have to go even, not fall massively far behind, and let the rest of your map do what they need to get done, and then just be in the team fight? Darius is not the biggest team fighter. You don't think of him as a big team fight champion. He's all about the early 1v1, but he's not bad. You get a Darius into the backline who's just swinging that axe around. That could be pretty scary.
It's going to be interesting to see where they place a teleport on that team, because I know Darius likes to go the Ghost to be able to run the laner down, but are they going to place a TP on him? Because we do know that Cassante is going to pick up that TP, probably. I would be very surprised to see anything other than the TP on the Jax. And we saw how much pressure he was able to put onto those, you know, objective fights, the Dragons, the Barons. It's going to be interesting to see if Darius picks up that teleport as well, or he goes for the lane for the lane bully Ghost sort of play style. They are probably going to put a teleport on Azir though. That is something that generally does happen.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of an interesting one. When we get into these big team fights, I don't favor one team massively over the other. I think there's great potential for the Ashe to find a pick early on, and then you can roll that way. At the same time, if an Azir can pop back into a massive Pop Blossom out of the Nico, that's a huge team fight potential for Bath. Over on the other side for Southampton, I don't know that you're necessarily looking to just straight up 5v5 team fight without having set up pretty carefully. You've got plenty of ways to just get into the backline. Your Swain can just sit there and heal for days, but your Nautilus, I worry, is going to be a little bit squishy compared to a lot of the damage that could be laid down for Bath. But if I had to pick one team's overall team fight over the other, I think I do prefer what Southampton have got for themselves. I think a lot of it depends on the Wukong. Now, again, I always have to bring it up. Certified Wukong hater at most times. Again, I don't hate it here. His issue is that he really needs to get ahead early, just like a Vi does, just like a Lee Sin does, but he doesn't have the tools to get himself ahead early. You're really reliant on a lot of your laners. It's the kind of thing that was really infuriating me a couple of years ago when he started to get a lot of priority in the jungle, because teams constantly didn't pick any CC in their lanes, picked a Wukong, expected it to do well, it didn't, they lost the game. It was really frustrating to watch. You've got so much setup in these lanes that I think the Wukong is going to be absolutely fine.
Yeah, I mean, you always say it when it comes up. You said it last week when Jetapov picked the Wukong once again. You said that Wukong needs those enablers to get him in this game, and he does on his team have these enablers. He has the Nautilus, he has the Swain, he has the Jags. It's going to be a case of, can he use those to his advantage, and he's going to have to if Jetapov wants to be a problem in this game.
Absolutely. So we have seen the drafts, spoken about them a little bit. We're going to head to a short break just to get into the game, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
'Cause I think, yeah, I think I like it. I think I like it. Got nothing to lose. 'Cause I think I like it. Tell me if you like me too.
Welcome back, everybody. So, Game 3 in just a couple of seconds. This one is super exciting. We've said it before, winner is in our final. Loser has one last chance to face up against Sheffield. The drafts have come through. I think that I like what Southampton has put down a little bit more than what Bath is laying down, but we'll see if the Darius is going to be able to work out. I said before, give me predictions. Once we've seen draft, I'm predicting Southampton here. What are you thinking?
I'm gonna have to go with you. I mean, Southampton's draft seems a lot more focused and a lot more thought about than Bath's. We were saying a little bit that Darius feels a little bit like a panic pick, but we are gonna have to see. Going into the game here, very interesting team from Bath, but we are going to have to see what the Rel Jungle can do, what the Darius can do, and what the Azir can do. Akiyama going to have to prove his worth here because he's not had the greatest of performances on both of these games so far. They're going to have a 5-man defense into their red side. Not going to look to do any shenanigans in the blue side, but they might look to have a little bit of a walk very shortly.
Could potentially look for a little bit of a late invade. They have a great invade team, to be fair. If you get caught up in any of this, especially with the Ashe, it means that you just can't walk away. You're pretty much guaranteeing blowing a flash off of somebody if you catch them out. Ping's going down. They kind of know where they're expecting Believer to be. I don't know if they're actually going to step forwards. You've already seen the TP go back from Turbo Tilt Timmy. He's just going to head back to... Sorry, the recall come through. He's just going to head back to his lane. Now Akiyama's going to go back. Nothing interesting going to lay down. Instead, I think Mario's just going to take this red buff to start off with. No, actually are going to go late invade. Jetterpuff is here. Which way round do they go? They need to go around the backside. No.
Has Jetterpuff seen them? Believer is going to walk back into the jungle. Jetterpuff is just going to start his blue. Believer doesn't know.
They can just take
Jetterpuff doesn't know. Believer is just going to walk straight into this. Is he going to have to blow flash? He is going to have to blow flash. Jetterpuff is going to have to walk away from his blue buff here. And it looks like Maru is going to be able to invade here and just take this away from Jetterpuff. Once again, we saw this last game. Or we saw this in the first game, sorry. And it's just not very nice, is it? It's just a bit mean.
It's very rude.
Believer getting caught in a bush once again. We've seen that twice from Believer. Just face checking a little bush right at the start of the game. Not dying though. Very, very strong. Having to blow the flash. Bit unfortunate. But what can you do?
Yep, that flash could end up being pretty crucial in this lane. The ability of a Nico and Ashe to get you stunned up and locked down even before that level 6, just with the amount of slows and annoyance that they can lay down, is really high, so you need to be careful as Believer right here. Once again means that you're going to get the level 2 first. G-Track's immediately going to shoot off that Hawk shot, wants to know exactly where it is that Jetterpuff has ended up. Not going to be able to quite spot them out, I don't think, because Jetterpuff had pulled that Krug camp away, so that is a little bit lucky, although... Mario wants to go for something hyphy right there. They're not going to be able to. Instead, Jetterpuff is going to be able to invade and pick up this blue buff. And so once again, split map situation. We're never seeing these junglers just clearing their own jungles. Turbo Tilt Timmy might look to just catch out onto Jetterpuff. This would be great for his jungler if you're able to dissuade that taking of the blue.
Turbo Tilt Timmy not able to spot Jetterpuff yet. But Jetterpuff has gone onto the Wolves and Turbo Tilt Timmy isn't going to walk around there. Jetterpuff doing a really good job at sort of keeping his, out of vision, staying away from that vision cone. But he is not going to wait. Turbo Tilt Timmy is going to return to the top lane. Does have Ghost, like I mentioned. No teleport for Bath's top laner. So those, 10-minute fights are going to look towards Cassante.
Yeah, they were going to be... a little bit strong, let's say, in these early stages. Jetterpuff still has not actually taken that blue. Doesn't feel comfortable to step up to it, actually, for some reason. So it's just going to walk away. That's going to mean just massive things, actually, for Mario. It puts him in a lot of control over this jungle matchup in a way that you really wouldn't have been expecting. Mario going to be able to pick up the Scuttle Crab, so not even a double Scuttle going to come through for Jetterpuff. The blue just remains, however... Oh, hang on. Nah, you're fine. However, as Maru, you will 100% expect that that blue has gone. It's not until they see Jetterpuff that they're going to realize that actually the blue is still available.
And that is going to be right now, as Jetpuff is in this bush. They know he's in this bush. Akiyama going to be able to spot him out, but not able to get any damage. Syracuse is getting pretty low. Akiyama isn't going to be able to get anything. Going to have to eat away. Both mid laners pretty low, but Akiyama has the level advantage. But yeah, I think Jetpuff, knowing that Turbo Tilt Timmy had moved into the blue side, wasn't comfortable taking that blue in case he stepped on a ward, and Maru just sped over to him and got him.
Invade again from Maru. Just gonna take away this Gromp, head back. Is once again gonna potentially catch Jetpuff out.
Is gonna get spotted and just gives a little love tap to Jetpuff. Jetpuff is gonna go and find his Grump. Has been taken away from him again. Pretty sad. It looks like we're gonna get an early Drake.
This is a true clinic right now, heading straight over onto this Drake. Jetpuff is in the area. It's a recall out of Syracuse, whereas Akiyama is going to come straight over. Both of these mid laners have base. Top lane is our first blood. That's what we were asking for, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was definitely looking for the Darius to just be a lane bully. The Ghost coming out, as I said, level 6 now. Not sure if he was level 6 in the fight, but I don't think he was, as he didn't use the ult. Kasane going to have to TP back so he doesn't lose this XP. But yeah, first blood going over to Darius, just proving how strong he can be as a bully. But are we going to see him keep that strength? Is he going to be able to destroy this game?
If he's able to take over on this top lane, that is one of the big weaknesses that we saw from last game, just completely plastered over. It's going to be Southampton picking themselves up this Drake, so they're not going to be too worried about that one. I'm super impressed with the way that Bath's been playing right now. There's actually a CS lead in the mid lane for Akiyama. Another thing that we were a little bit worried about, Akiyama not having the strongest performance so far, but stepping up in this game, and what a game it would be to step up in. Sending your team to finals will be absolutely huge. Grubs have been up for a little while, nobody really looking to get onto them right now. In fact, both of the junglers are in this bot side once again.
Believer gonna get caught by Lord Who in the bush there. Jetpuff is just kind of in the lane. He's sort of just sort of walked in with them and said, hey, how you doing? Now he's walking away again. Maru isn't gonna get spotted. Maru might look for a little bit of a dive here. Whereas Jetpuff is taking the skull, might get caught out by Maru. Akiyama is in a position to rotate to this if he needs to. Maru is going to take away this skull crab from him. It looks like the Darius is going to be on the grubs.
Nice little rotation of plays right there. There was a really sneaky little moment where Lord 2 walked alongside the wall, looking like he was just going towards, really trying to bait Believer into throwing out a hook, which would have been the engage done for Bath. Instead, that one doesn't quite work out, you know. Believer knows that something's up, has sniffed out that there's a potential play going on, as we're going to watch the top laners begin to fight. That's a lot of stacks.
Oh, coming out from Kasane. Flash coming out from Turbo Timmy. Is that
the burn?
That is not going to be able to be enough damage. It is enough damage.
It's done.
It's enough damage to kill Kasane for a second kill going onto the Darius. That bleed lasted so long. Coming out after getting, you know, walking down, getting a grub, just walking back in, setting Maru up to get the other two. Walking back into lane and just able to just destroy the Jax here.
Really, really nice set of plays right there out of Turbo Tilt Timmy. Had a pretty bad game in the previous one. Kasante clearly was feeling confident about having this Jax, but it was a counter. It was a counter into the Yone. Now you've picked it blind, and Timmy is like, nah, I've got a counter to your counter. Here's the Darius, pulls it out. And that fight, you could tell it was going to go wrong before it even really started, because there were 4 stacks when they would just poke each other of that bleed. So the second that Cassandra actually engages onto that one, Timmy just gets that next stack, can just pop the ulti. It doesn't immediately execute, but you just have a slow, painful bleed out of Cassandra, and that's now 2 kills onto this Darius. Now, you want to get ahead as Darius. I was saying in the draft, maybe you don't need to get ahead, you can still be useful anyway, but obviously, if you can get ahead, get rolling as this Darius, you could be an absolute terror in both the side lanes and these team fights. Obviously, you don't have a teleport, so it's harder to get those big flanks. That's what Cassandra is now going to be looking towards, getting those big flanks off to get all of that sort of helpfulness and use out of this Jax. But still, once you do get to those team fights around the Baron, around potential big Drakes a little bit later on, Timmy being in a strong position is terrifying for Southampton, and absolutely what you were looking for out of Bath.
Absolutely. The Darius is just such a strong pick, especially when he's ahead. we're not really seeing anything happen in either bot lane. You know, they're sort of just even right now. But I want to look to the mid lane. Nothing's happened in the mid lane, but there is an almost 20 CS lead coming out from Akiyama on the Azir. He's been looking for this pick. They have banned it the last 2 games, but he's finally able to get it, and he's sort of looking to prove himself, and he certainly is with this CS lead. But can he turn it into a kill lead? Can he turn it into a very, very strong pick? Oh, Maru has just disconnected, and we are going to go to a pause here while we work out what has happened.
And I mean, what an early game to break down. It's good that we've got a little bit of a pause. It's worth having a breather and looking at what has happened across the map, because there's been a lot of plays that have almost happened around the bot lane and the mid lane, and a lot of plays that absolutely have happened in the top lane. Those 2 kills on the Darius, we've spoken about it quite a lot already, but if he can keep rolling, and the Darius does accelerate really well after the first couple of kills, that is an absolute terror in the top lane. And once you get those 1-2 items, kind of Black Cleaver is all you really need as a Darius to just start rolling through whoever's in front of you. You can turn that into a lot of pressure elsewhere. The Herald will be coming up soon, and that's something you can try to play around. I think perhaps more impactfully on the rest of the map, though, is the fact that these junglers haven't really been able to find anything kind of at all yet.
No, neither jungler able to sort of get in. Maru has been looking a lot in the bot lane. Really hasn't been able to do anything. No ganks coming out, and Jetterpuff as well. Not really anything yet, but we are going to be able to go back to game here very, very shortly. It seems the issue was cleared up.
It's all good. It is just going to be one of those basic spec bugs where you just wait for a couple of seconds and it will pop back into motion. There we go. And we can jump back on into this game. So, like we were saying, the fact that these junglers haven't really been able to get involved is pretty surprising considering how active they've been previously. But look at that CS lead for Maru. Oh, hang on.
Speaking of junglers getting active, Jetterpuff going to come into the top lane, see if he can get that kill on top of Tatami. The shutdown going to go over to Kazane. We were actually just saying these junglers have not been active, and Jetterpuff says, no, I am active as much as I need to be.
Yeah, going to get involved in that top lane, stem the bleeding a little bit, definitely what was needed, and because of that CS lead that we were talking about, if you're not getting kills and assists, you're going to fall massively far behind as Jetterpuff. That's one of the biggest sins as the Wukong, as I've been saying. Maru now looking to respond potentially in the bot lane. This wave should be pushing out away from Snow and Believer, which could put them in a scary situation, although it looks like Snow actually doing really well to just keep that wave pushing back towards him, doesn't want to step up. Oh, I can see this going wrong, though. It takes the smallest error right now for the Maru to go in.
It does not look like it is going to happen. Maru is, once again, not going to be able to get a gank in the bot lane. He's wanted it. He's been looking for it. We've seen him in this bot side for a good couple of minutes. He's been looking for this for so long. Are they going to maybe look for a dive? However, it doesn't feel like it. Believer going to get caught out here, but not going to take enough damage to really feel the effects of anything. They are going to look for this dragon that is spawning, though.
Yeah, you could just go for this dragon right now. Jetterpuff is in the area. Believer has taken a big chunk of damage, and that's just going to be the straight-up teleport coming in from Akiyama. Has got that Nashor's Tooth completed, so is in a very strong position. The first person to have actually completed an item. Absolutely no way you can step up onto that one. And now it is going to be one Drake apiece. Really well played, actually. Maru has spent a lot of time in that bot lane, not really continuing to accelerate that gold lead for himself, but gets that team objective in the Drake, so not going to be too unhappy with the way that one's worked out. We're going to have a quick look at the gold. There's a little bit of an advantage for Maru over Jetterpuff right now in that mid lane. Top lane is a just massive gap. Mid lane, Akiyama has the advantage. I'm really impressed with that one.
Yeah, I was saying that we need to see what Akiyama can do on this Azir, because they banned it twice, so obviously it's a pick he enjoys. So he's looking to prove himself, and he's so far he's doing so. Like you said, first player with an item in this game, and especially the Nashor's Tooth. Nashor's Tooth is so strong. We do see G-Trax able to pick up the Static Shiv and the Zerka's Greaves as well, but really a very
it hits!
Syracuse going to get hit by the ult. Akiyama going to go in with Shurima Shuffle. Lord Who going to respond with an ult as well. Syracuse just going to try his best. 3 ults straight onto Syracuse. We have the Ash ult Then we have Emperor's Divide, and then we have Pot Blossom just coming out, just keeping Syracuse in place. Not
That
able
was
to do anything.
mad. He got put through a spin cycle right there. I mean, was not allowed to use any of his buttons. Oh, man. Oh, I thought Mario had just messed that one up a little bit. Nope, ends up going over all good. Jetterpuff has still got the clone to jump away. Yep, just going to be able to hop out of that one. Syracuse has had some very impressive games today, but was not allowed to play video game for a good 3-4 seconds. Man, they blew a lot to get that kill, but you're going to be very happy with picking it up. Another kill now. Akiyama Mio is going to be so happy with that one and could just keep accelerating this Azir. That Emperor's Divide is such a great ability to have. It deals a sneaky amount of damage, but just the ability to shuffle people around is so huge. And the fact that he was able to hit that first one could just be a little bit of a confidence booster for a player that, like we've said, hasn't had the best couple of games, but is really stepping up in this third one.
Yeah, I've said it a couple of times now. He's looking to prove himself, and prove himself he has. However, the G-Tracks coming with the, the cross-map ult that we've seen from him a couple of times. He's been looking for it probably all game, probably all of last game. He got it in the first game. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow, just such a strong, unexpected move. Syracuse didn't have anything to answer for it. He tried to use his ult to survive, and it really didn't work for him. He didn't have the flash, but Lord 2 was in the area as well, and it looks like I think we sort of glossed over the fact that Bath got all 6 grubs. Looks like they're going to be looking for the Herald as well, but believe Syracuse and Jetterpuff maybe can look to do something like Akiyama, but they are spotted by Lord Who. Jetterpuff going to go in, Akiyama going to be able to jump straight out of there. Azir is such a strong pick in the mid lane, simply based on the fact that you have such a strong defense from ganks.
Absolutely. The Azir is just so good at sitting back, also gives you so much. It's why he's part of that trifecta of just like the mid lane champions. Mario potentially going to be looking to go in right now. Syracuse just going to back this one off, should be fine. The Azir, the Syndra, the Orianna, all of these champions have so much that keeps them safe. They're really hard to punish, and then they also give you great team fight ults or great abilities to really play around in general. G-Trax might be able to just take this bot lane tower, and having that already is huge. Those 6 grubs did go over to Bath. I feel like we didn't speak about that one quite enough. There was so much else going on. And Maru, despite the fact that he hasn't actually gotten any ganks off, has still been doing really well. Still got about the 10 CS lead, which is pretty good to be maintaining at this point. And Jetterpuff hasn't been finding a million ganks either. So that gold lead is going to be absolutely fine. Has now completed that Frozen Heart. Also has got a Barmy, so is going to be in a very strong position. Pretty much just building armor. Not really, as of right now, looking to go towards any magic resist, so could potentially be vulnerable to Syracuse, but is not going to have many issues with Cassante, Jetterpuff, or Snow.
I think we have to realize that Cassante seems to be properly respecting the Darius now. Turbo Tilt Timmy has proven to Cassante that he can kill him, he can solo kill him, and we haven't seen another kill come out from Turbo Tilt Timmy onto Cassante. They're sort of, just matching each other on CS. Turbo Tilt Timmy has got the CS lead. Looks like we might get a pick on Akiyama here. Believer really wanted to look for a hook, but he doesn't see Maru or... he doesn't see the fact that it's Lord Who gets hit with the ult. Syracuse are going to come in with the ult. So much damage coming in. Akiyama going to kill Jetterpuff. Emperor's Divide coming in to get Syracuse out of that fight.
Snow's
Maru
dead too.
Coming in with a flash. Snow is just going to fall as well. Akiyama ulting Syracuse away just to get him out of that fight. We've seen how strong the Swain ult can be, the Demonic Ascension, and Akiyama says no, not in my game, not in my team, and so it just secures the Drake for Bath.
Yeah, huge one. Going to be another Drake. Hex Take as well is just such a great soul to be able to pick up. Gives you so much. Those portals as well just make it so that the game is a little bit faster paced. I really do like this one. Timmy going to be able to avoid that counter stance as well, and Cassante just has not been having a good time, down by a good chunk of CS, about 20 at this point. To be fair, as of right now, the items are very similar. I imagine that's about to change if Timmy manages to get this base off. It's going to be able to go back, get himself another tunneler, is now in a good position to just keep laying down the hurt onto Cassante. But it's not really about Cassante. Despite the fact those 2 early kills went over, it's more about the fact that the rest of the map's going well. Timmy's managed to stabilize, awesome. Last game that wasn't going so well. Akiyama has been able to do one step further and really get himself into a strong position. And then G-Trax isn't getting leapt on quite as much because you don't have that same just straight up engage when Cassante isn't there. You can go in as Believer and Syracuse and Jetterpuff, but you need to be really careful because there's a lot that can get rid of you. That Pop Blossom is one of the biggest ults in the game, I feel. And then you've got a potential Shurima Shuffle just to get everybody off of G-Trax and actually allow him to sit there and auto-attack, something he wasn't allowed to do in the previous game.
Akiyama is looking to defend against Snow and Believer here. You know, he could potentially look for a big Emperor's Divide getting behind Snow. Maru is going to go in on Cassandra here in the red side jungle. Not going to be able to get anything. Syracuse is just going to be able to, you know, get a little bit of damage off, but are they going to be able to stop this push?
Oh, they've got decent enough wave clear. I mean, Cassandra's going to struggle quite hard, but Syracuse has some pretty good wave clear. They're going to go in, okay.
The ghost coming out from Turbo Tilt Timmy, not going to be able to get any value out of it. Kasane going to be able to jump away from the pull. Turbo Tilt Timmy does want to go in.
This could be a collapse.
They do have 4 people, but they do have 5 people. There's Akiyama TP coming in. Lord Who going to get a kill onto Jetterpuff, and Believer going to fall as well. The TP from Akiyama wasn't necessary. He didn't even get an assist.
Super big play right there. Gonna be a massive pin, so it looked like the collapse could potentially come through. We were hyping up this game through that it could be super back and forth, but this one is a little bit of a stomp right here. Southampton, they're not completely out of it. They do still have a potential to get back into this game, but it's going to take some big shutdowns onto people like Akiyama and G-Trax, because they have massive shutdowns on their heads right now. That's the way that you get yourself back in. That does not help.
That really, really does not help. Kasane just getting shut down and beaten about by G-Trax and Lord Who. Jetterpuff gonna go through that portal. That's a questionable decision. He might just have to get out of here. Oh, very, very close to getting pulled back over that wall. Taking a lot of damage. Very interesting choice to use the portal when they don't have any ward control in that jungle. But yeah, like you said, this is just a stomp from Bath right here. We're seeing so much gold disparity just everywhere. Going into the 20th minute, Baron has spawned. Bath are going to be looking to do this next. I do believe that they can just kind of. They have so many good teamfight ults. Obviously, they have the Emperor's Divide. They have that Pop Blossom. They have that Enchanted Crystal Arrow. And they have just everything that they need.
Yeah, they are just in such a strong position right now. 2 items coming through for pretty much everybody. It's going to be incredibly difficult right here for Southampton to get back into this game, but I've seen much, much bigger gold leads thrown around Baron, so there's always a potential to get back into this game around this big objective. We've still got a couple of Drakes until we be getting to a Soul, so, you know, you've got a little bit of time right here, Southampton. They're not completely on the ropes just yet. The take speed, though, for Bath for getting through this Baron is incredibly quick. You're able to take this one down super fast as soon as you want it. You can see they're going straight onto it, and it is melting away. Nash's Tooth up Azir means that you're just going to take this one incredibly quickly. Anyway, that was before G-Trax was even hitting it. Are you going to get respond? Where is Jetterpuff? Can he get in?
Can Jetterpuff get into this? The TP is going to come out from Kasane from
He's
the
in.
bot lane. He's in. Blue team is going to get the Baron. Bath is going to be able to pick up, and Jetterpuff is just going to fall. Turbo Tilt Timmy picking up that kill. Snow is going to be able to get a kill onto Lord Who, though. Huge fight coming out from Bath. Very hard to say exactly what happened there. That was so quick, so many ults. Akiyama Akiyama getting into the middle with the Emperor's Divide. G-Trax and Maru able to pick up the CC needed, and Turbo Tilt Timmy with that ult. You know,
Huge.
Jetterpuff had no chance in stealing that Baron, and it looks like Bath might just be able to end the game here, but they have Snow, Syracuse, and Jetterpuff coming up in a couple of seconds, so they decide against it. They are going to, in fact, go for this dragon, and it looks like Southampton just aren't going to be able to even consider taking this off them.
And remember, both me and you thought that Bath were going to lose this game, because we were worried about the mid lane, we were worried about the top lane, but clearly we were wrong. We're putting too much stock in game number 2, where things just did not quite work out. The draft was a little bit messy, I think, out of Bath. As soon as they get themselves a bit more of a cohesive draft, they're able to just step up and just destroy across all of the lanes. Can I just say, report Timmy. and Lord Who for inting in this one. I mean, they've died.
The only kills for Southampton going on to Tabletop Timmy and Lord Who. One of them very, very recently, actually.
Yeah.
Kasane is just going to get converged on here. Literally just getting passed around. Tries to jump onto Maru, gets pulled away by Timmy. Just an absolute stomp here. I think Southampton might be kicking themselves a little bit with that draft. I think they should have carried on with the Azir ban. Looking at this, they banned it twice, but they thought it won't be much of an issue, but it was. Akiyama is not letting them live that down.
Nope, absolutely not. This could be potentially a push towards the end right here. Look at all of those Void Mites. The little minions are all over these towers. Going to be able to shred through this one really quickly. Snow is just up in the top lane trying to push for a tier 1 out. It would be the first turret picked up in the entire game for Southampton. This has been an absolute stomp. Lord 2 going to go in.
Lord 2 going in with the pop blossom. Maru going in with the ult as well. Maru going to be able to kill the Lever under the tower, just living. Turbocity is tanking that tower, is going to fall, but G-Trax just able to take down the tower so quickly. Akiyama coming in with the Empress Divide and able to get so much damage off onto Syracuse, onto Snow, onto Kasane, and it looks like Southampton are going to lose this game.
Huge performance right there. Southampton just get leveled in that last one. Bath are going to be 2-1 up over Southampton. They are going to be sending themselves to the finals. Our first locked in finalist right here. And what was it the Bath said? No extra means Bath wins? Hey, it looks like they're about right.
It looks like it's looking hopeful for Bath that no extra means Bath win. I'm with them every single step of the way now. They've proven their worth. And like I said, I think Southampton might just be kicking themselves a little bit on dropping that Azir ban in play. I'm not even sure what they chose to ban instead, but dropping that Azir ban really proved not a great idea. But Southampton, not out of it yet.
No, you've still got another chance as Southampton. They're going to be facing up against Lats on Tour Sheffield. Take a look, that's exactly who they beat 2-0 in the previous week, so there's a very good chance that we might end up seeing Bath versus Southampton once again in our finals, but you'll just have to wait and see on that one. We're going to be having an interview in just a little bit. Until then, I mean, we both predicted that Bath were going to win, we're going to lose that game, but I feel so happy actually for Akiyama, because those first two games just didn't quite work out. There were a couple of good Anivia moments. Aurelion Sol did not really work out, but the second that ban was dropped, like you said, and we got to see the Azir, that was a night and day difference.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, Akiyama really didn't have a great performance in the first two games, and he was really looking to prove himself in that third game, and prove himself he did. It was a pretty massive performance, especially against Syracuse's Syracuse's comfort pick, the Swain. Obviously, being able to come out after they banned it for the second game, Syracuse going back onto it, not able to pull out the performance that he wanted, or probably needed for his team, and the Jax, the Darius, the counter pick for the counter pick. Tell me about it.
I mean, damn, I was not expecting that, but it felt, honestly, like Asante didn't really know what to do with the Darius. Like, that Jax versus Yone matchup, that was incredibly well played out of Kasante, but then in that final one, it felt like he didn't know how to play up against the Darius. Picked it into the Darius, which is not the best. I mean, I think the Jax can still have a pretty good time into the Darius. I don't think it's a counter particularly, but it isn't as strong. You're not completely stopping everything that you want to do. It's a Darius. It's all about the spells. It's all about the stacks. You can get a lot of those stacks without worrying so much about that counter stance. And so the second that the stacks started going down, there were a couple of fights where, you know, Kasante went in, already had 4 bleed stacks applied on top of his head, and that's not a winning recipe. It was really unfortunate there. The final big shout out I would like to give players is going to go over to the support. I mean, that was really impressive out of Lord Who. I really liked that play. I think that Nico is one of the strongest support mid picks that we've got at the moment. If you need something sneaky, obviously there's other higher tier picks, but if you need something a little bit different, a little bit out of left field, that ultimate Pop Blossom can be so strong. If you land it onto a couple members in a big messy team fight, you can win the game for your team.
Absolutely, we saw some massive pot blossoms, especially with combined with Akiyama's Shurima shuffles. Like he was able to push them into the pot blossom coming out and just completely ruining that. We saw that in the mid lane, the Syracuse getting hit by the cross map enchanted crystal arrow. That was absolutely massive. So that was just a really, really good pick from Lord Who. Like you said, yeah, we should give a special mention. But speaking of that, we are going to pop to a break after the third game there.
Just keep on talking in tongues. It's a funny situation that I got myself into. I can help my own frustration. Cause I think, yeah, I think I like it. I think I like it. Got nothing to lose. Cause I think I like you. Tell me if you like me too. How can you move the way you do? It's making me crazy, yeah. You're moving just like you own the room. Make it look easy. I wanna take you away to somewhere we can be by ourselves. I see you looking my way, so maybe it's not all in my head. It's a funny situation that I got myself into. I can help my own frustration. Cause I think, yeah, I think I like it. I think I like it. Got nothing to lose. Cause I think I like it. Tell me if you like me
No, they're not. Super with the threat and only rooting on them. This round over.
Everyone, if you hate snakes, then this snake will end it here for you. Double kill versus Kyrie on the back of this fight. Cancel the fight before we can see.
We are here after an incredibly impressive performance from Bath to beat out Southampton 2-1, and we're joined now by Maru for an interview. Hey man, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thanks.
Awesome. So, a really impressive performance. Things looked a little bit shaky in that second game, but I want you to talk me through that first game, where, you know, you got your signature Viego. How were you feeling when you got that champion, and what was your game plan going into that first one?
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously it's always good when the Viego goes through. It doesn't happen too often. But when we can get the Viego and the Jinx in the same game, it's really, really hard for enemies to play. It just takes one pick, and then the whole fight's kind of over for them. You know, they draft Soul Engage on Vi, so they can't really do too much into our team comp at all, to be honest.
I want you to talk to me about what went wrong in the second game, because obviously you struggled a lot against Southampton in the second game. A little bit of a struggle in the jungle as well, especially against the volley bear. What did you think went wrong?
So I think they outdrafted us really hard that game. Their draft game too was really, really, really solid. We also didn't play the fights very well. I think we kind of wanted to scale a bit more, but we forced a little bit too much early game. But in the game too, they did draft really good. It was kind of just impossible for us to do any damage to that volley bear after he had Frozen Heart. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So when we're reading the team info that you guys have provided us with, you've told us that no Exeter means Bath win. Tell me about that. Is that true? Do you think you're going to go ahead to win the finals?
Yeah, I mean, last time we had a really, really strong run. Obviously, only people who could stop us, Ex Machina, no chance against them. But this time round, without Exeter, it's looking a lot more in our favor. I think we're all a lot more confident without Exeter playing against us. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Ex Machina were an incredibly strong incredibly strong team. They're tearing it up in the UKL right now, so it's no surprises that them being out of the tournament makes things a little bit easier for you. You're now done. You guys are in the finals. You're all happy with that one. We do have a rematch between Southampton and Sheffield. Now, you have played both of these teams, I believe.
Yeah.
Who do you think's the stronger one? Who do you think you're going to be seeing? Is it going to be a rematch in the finals?
I think it's pretty safe to say we probably have to face off against. I would have said Sheffield, but I've just checked and they did get toured by Southampton, so now I'm not sure, honestly. I think we've got pretty good chances whoever we go up against, personally, but maybe I'm a little bit too cocky, who knows.
So you felt like Sheffield when you played them were the stronger team?
That's what I felt, yeah.
Ah, very interesting, because obviously you've 2-0'd against everybody up until today, where Southampton were able to find that game off of you, but are you putting that down to then your second game draft was bad, you got out-executed in the team fights, you know what you did wrong, you can fix it?
Yeah, I think game 2 was really, really largely onto the draft. So I think in our hearts it's 2-0 for us, but
Perfect then. Well, thank you very much for doing this little interview with us. Have you got anybody you want to shout out, any teammates you want to say thank you to, viewers you want to say hi to, anything like that?
Yeah, no, from the team, shout out to, Turbo Tilt Timmy and Turbo Tilt Timmy only. And then obviously my goats, Ex Machina, Akranos, Eden, Eames, all of Ex Machina, my kings, would not be here without them today.
Ah, perfect. Thank you so much, Mario. Congratulations, and we'll see you for the finals. Enjoy your win.
Thank you very much.
Perfect then. So, Ashy, another wonderful, wonderful game of League of Legends in the books, and a little bit of a surprise to us. We weren't so sure about Bath in that second one, but by God did they step up.
Yeah, as Murray was saying, that draft in the second game, Southampton did just turn out on top. The draft was so strong, but Bath, they brought it back. They knew what they were doing in that third game, and they sent themselves straight to the finals. However, do you think they are going to meet Southampton again in the finals?
I am shocked that Sheffield was the stronger team, in Mara's opinion, because when we saw Southampton versus Sheffield, other than top lane, other than Akers, it didn't feel like there was that much doing, to be honest, in that matchup. It felt like the rest of the map was pretty much getting put down. Syracuse had an incredible performance, but then again, maybe we were missing something. Maybe there is that extra level to Sheffield, so it'll be fascinating to see those two match up against each other. I think whoever we get in the finals is going to be really awesome, but I think that you are right as Bath. Coming into that one as favourites is definitely the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very, very excited to see Bath again in the finals and maybe even Southampton once again. It's going to be interesting to see how Southampton, if they come to the finals, how they respond to Bath once again. Like, it's going to be interesting to see if they will adapt their playstyle, if they are able to pull out the win. But, Mari seems very, very confident.
Yes, I mean, Mara played some really, really impressive games. That second one, it just felt like it went wrong a little bit overall for Bath. They were able to pull it back. They knew what had gone wrong. Obviously, we've said it before, but I'm just going to say it one more time. I'm really impressed with Akiyama for being able to pull it back on that Azir. Would like to see if it's just the Azir where they really ball out, or if there's some other picks in that back pocket to pull out, because we're going to a best of 5, obviously. That next one is a best of 5, so you need that extra level of adaptation. It's not good enough to just have 3 potentially good picks. You need even more to be able to really pull through. Absolutely love getting to best of 5s. It really shows you the best and the worst of teams, so it's always a really fun time. I think that pretty much does it for us for today. It's been an absolute pleasure, Ashy. I am unfortunately not going to be joining you for the finals. I'm not around. I'm sorry. It's my bad.
I know, it's so unfortunate. It's such a you know, sort of
I know.
quite sad.
I'm
But,
quite devastated, but
I'm gonna be
you're
there
going to
next
smash
week.
it.
I'm gonna try my best without you. I'm gonna be there next week, so hopefully, if you guys watching are gonna be tuning in next week, we are gonna see Bath versus either Southampton or Sheffield. Tune in on. I'm not exactly sure when the lower bracket when the lower bracket game is. Do you know, Bloxer?
Lower bracket game is going to be, I think, on this Saturday, and then the finals should be next Wednesday on the 27th. So, you know, absolutely massive games coming up. I don't think we've got a stream, unfortunately, for that lower bracket, but keep posted, and then you'll be able to see in that finals who that matchup is going to be. But thank you all very much for watching. Again, Ashley, thank you very much for joining me. Absolutely excellent. Can't wait to see you grow. I'm going to be sure to tune in for that finals. It should be awesome. Thank you so much to production behind the scenes. They were absolute legends today, bringing us that brilliant content that you've seen today. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you all in another week's time.